live stream, is your gun loaded?
Yes, my gun is loaded and ready to shoot.
All right. Are you at the place yet?
No. I'm on my way. The government building? No, I'm just kidding. All right, so
KingSithis is now live streaming
Decoded.
World of Warcraft.
What do you know about Ancaps?
Where are you streaming?
Just look up my
Pornhub.
username, KingSithis, on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or TikTok. I'm live streaming on all of them at once.
Tell me about Ancap.
Hmm?
I said, tell me about Ancap.
Yeah, so anarcho-capital, well, ANCAP is just short for anarcho-capitalism. And anarcho-capitalists, which is what me and my friend are, anarcho-capitalists are people who believe in no state. We believe in the abolition of the state. Oh.
Wow.
Well, he left. Okay. Well, we believe in the abolition of the state. And we also believe in capitalism.
Why are you... What?
Why am I what?
Why are you still explaining to the guy that left?
Well, because I was explaining it maybe to the chat.
Like, people that watch your stream don't know what anarcho-capitalism is?
I mean, you never know. Antony, what's going on, bro? What do you know about ANCAP? No, I'm just kidding. I guess not much. All right, bet.
I obviously don't know much about Ancap, you know. Don't you guys believe that, you know, but like, you know, you would have law and justice without the government? You know, I think that's very stupid, you know, because don't you have you read Hobbes, you know?
Have you read Hopper?
No, Hopper is a racist. Did you know that?
Nah, bro. He's cool. He's all right. I mean, what has he said that's actually racist? Has he actually said anything that's racist?
I mean, he has, but I don't really care.
I mean, I've read his two main books, which is the
I mean, it's
Democracy, the God.
It's mostly stuff like, you know, comments like, oh yeah, I forgot, in like a free society, you know, you'd probably exclude people like, you know, homosexuals or stuff like that. But no, I wouldn't say that, you know, I don't really care personally.
Yeah, I don't care neither.
No.
You know what? Maybe I should play with my paladin today. Because I haven't played on him in a while. I've been playing my troll because I think the troll is like the best race in World of Warcraft. I think they're the coolest looking race. What is this? Oh, it turns you into a gnome. Turn me back. Yeah, anyways. We need people to... excuse me. We need people to join. So, taxation, anything interesting with you lately? Been working on your book at all?
Not really. I should.
You gotta get to it, bro.
At points I'll go through it. At points I'll go through it and parts of it and just get frustrated with shit I did wrong in the book. Like, it just stupid shit. Like, okay, for example, I think I emphasized the nature of, rights enforcement firms as being insurers, guided by actuarial precision far too many times.
There are definitely some times in the book where I feel you could definitely...
How old is taxation?
Taxation? How old are you, taxation? 29, right?
I'm 29. Why?
Yeah. No, my chat
Why?
just asked. My chat asked.
Somebody asked, what the fuck?
Yeah. I'm 28.
Weird.
So we're about the same age, me and him. Yeah.
I used a lot of ornate language too, like, in the elaborate mosaic of a stateless society, rights enforcement firms weave a network, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, it's just over.
I think it sounds good. I mean, with
too
the
much,
British
though.
voice.
A
What is
little
the
bit.
British voice? If you have the
George
British
Orwell's.
accent, you know what I'm saying, with it, it sounds good.
In the grand
so-
mosaic. Go ahead.
The grand mosaic, But I mean, someone once said I would be a decent guy for, audiobooks, for like narration and stuff. I'm not sure about that, but it's interesting.
I wouldn't see. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
English
someone once
accents.
said,
Wait, are you English or what are you?
I live in Wales.
Wales. Is that England?
It's right next to England.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know much about geography or England. But yeah, you guys
No,
have
it's fine.
particular accents that people tend to like.
Well, yeah, I live in the United Kingdom, yeah.
Mhm.
The United Kingdom consists of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Excuse me. Well, yeah, people love British accent. I like the Queen's English. No, I think the Queen's
That's
English
very
is the best.
Victorian. Well,
think that's the best one.
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dogs.
Yes,
Stuff
exactly. Yeah.
like that.
Yes, and quite robust. Yeah, like they speak with a
Very robust.
robust language. I love it because so for the audio, so for a section of his book, just on the
Buddy, add me on Discord username.
what you call it,
That's lovely.
his just a section of the book on protection agencies and things like that, and the private defense. I basically used an AI voiceover to turn it into an audiobook, but I used a British guy with a British accent, but with the Queen's English, to read it, and I just loved it. I thought it was great. And then on my YouTube channel, do you know the book Anagoras Primer? Or Anagoras Primer?
Yeah.
So I turned that into an audiobook, and I used the guy with a Queen's English, and it was good. I loved it. Also, the guy, Admiral Hall, I think it was like Admiral Haldo or something like that from Star Wars Episode 4. The Admiral guy. The way that he talked was really cool. Also, the way that people talked in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's probably because,
What's up,
Actually,
waxing? What's up, waxing?
What's up, my nigga?
Whoa,
Listen,
whoa, we're live
taxation
streaming.
Relax. I'm black. I'm allowed to say this thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I'm cool.
So he has the pass.
I have the pass, everyone.
All right, so what's up? What's
up?
But no,
I can say
but
Nick-
respectfully, let's try not to,
Yeah,
I can
make
say it
fun of me,
because
that's enough.
my son is a quarter black, so that gives me a pass too.
You're an
yeah.
ANCAP libertarian asking me not to use the N word. Are you fucking?
We're
serious?
live
Oh, wait.
streaming on the internet.
No. It's
Yeah,
because
like-
he's live streaming.
Yeah, it's because we're live
Yeah,
streaming,
like-
bro.
If you were at my house, you could say it all day.
Yeah, if we were in
If
our
I
own
say it,
room,
will I be
shit, I didn't
violating
want to
the
give a fuck.
NAP?
If we were in our own room,
Will
I
I be
wouldn't care.
violating NAP if
No.
I drop the N bomb again?
No, obviously not.
So where does
maybe just
gassing
in terms of live
Jews
streaming.
lay on the NAP scale? Is that a violation of the NAP?
Of course, that's a violation of the NAP.
How?
Well, because you're killing people.
What if they're not people to begin with?
I would disagree with you on that one. I'm pretty sure Jews are people. I mean, taxation seems like a person to me. He's Jewish.
Hello, brother Heil Hoppa.
I don't know, man. They might have some vampiric blood. They might have some lizard blood. I don't know. Something's going on.
I don't know.
Well,
He seems.
let's just say, like, if a
Tax is
lizard
Jewish. He seems
person
alright
is
to me.
able well, if a lizard person is able to, engage in argumentation, then they do in fact have rights, even if they're a lizard person.
No lizard people allowed in the Shire. I disagree.
Yeah, but lizard people are able to, have conversations and settle disputes, and they're just like they're basically human but lizard. So they have rights.
No, and you sound like a lefty. You're not.
Well, no. If let's just say
Left and right doesn't make much sense with Ancaps.
Let's just say your cattle dog was able to engage in argumentation, and he was like, "Well, you can't aggress on me," and they're arguing, so now they have rights. Well, if they're able to engage in rights, then your dog will have rights. But if they aren't able to engage in argumentation, then they wouldn't have rights. No, which is most dogs in the
This
world
is
already.
retarded, and just having this standpoint tells me that you're a retard, but not just a retard. It gives me a lot of information.
Is that it? That's all you got? Retard, retard.
You are. No. Really, it's a projection of growing up in probably like a suburban family in like a middle class, lower middle class.
You don't know
upper,
anything
lower
about
class
us.
household.
How do you know? We could have been super
This
poor.
guy, speaking of this guy, who thinks laws are predicated upon your ability to speak. That tells me you probably grew up around a mother who fucking yapped a lot just like you, and you were able to bullshit your way out of it with your mother. You probably did not grow up around men who hold you accountable to your actions. You know why? None of what you say matters when it comes down to the law, as long as you have the will to fucking prevail over the other party. Right? The age-old. So this is why
everyone would agree.
libertarianism is so fucking gay, dude. Because when we come
think
in
you're
and we say, yeah, we...
You're essentially saying that might makes happen. Nobody disputes that.
Yeah, people. If somebody has the
No, we're
ability
saying
to
might
force
makes
you
right,
to
especially
hold on.
godless people.
Yeah, but somebody has the ability to force you to
Just got here.
do something
What have I missed?
against
XD?
you, right? Obviously that somebody has a force, they have the ability to do so. But the libertarian
here's
argument
me.
is just that we shouldn't be allowed to, that the law should be based on the non-aggression principle, which means that no one should initiate force.
Yeah, okay. That's not how you establish a law. And the non-aggression principle is like some cute little hippie ideology which grew in a nation state with a very clear set of laws and principles which are derived from ultimately a God-derived law writings, which is the Bible, and a Christian,
Honestly, not much.
Christian influence on Western culture. But deny all that. You're right. You guys got it figured out. Just go out there, dude. Just go be a libertarian. Just say to everybody, "Don't violate me, guys. Don't violate me," and see what the fuck's going to happen. Not only are you going to get violated, you're going to get confronted with your cute little ideological view of the world being completely retarded when you're confronted with the age-old fact that, not only does might make right, your inability to act out on your words, which should have been taught to you as a young boy, makes it so no matter what you say has any value whatsoever. Your views,
I have two
your
things about this.
opinions.
All right.
What?
That dude talking seems
I have
mad
two things to
ASF.
say. One is that to say that might makes right is to say that everything that happens, such as child rape or whatever, is automatically right and therefore nullifies the entire concept of right. Therefore, there's a distinction between what happens and what ought happen. This is an is-ought issue. Might cannot logically make right.
That's you.
Number one.
That's you.
And number two, once upon a time, people were prancing around going, slavery is wrong. And they were complaining and griping, it's so bad doing slavery. And enough people doing that eventually got slavery, that is chattel slavery of Negroes, eliminated.
Well,
so it matters to complain.
Don't say that, please.
What? That's the allowed word.
No,
what the fuck?
no. Don't.
That's the
It's not
preferred
allowed.
term.
It's not
Whatever.
allowed. It's not allowed.
Okay, there's blacks, Schwarzes. What?
Yeah, just say black
African
people. Just say
whatever.
black people, yeah.
Nigger.
Oh, hey.
All right, I'm going to server mute him.
Anyway, yes, it was complaint that shifted cultural sentiments, which amounted to paradigm shifts, legal paradigm shifts, political paradigm shifts. It leads to economic paradigm shifts in many cases as well. Complaint drives action. I mean, it's not the only driver of action, but it's absolutely one of them. So I think it's entirely valid to complain, to point out injustice. When something is wrong, people should point out that it's wrong. And they should do so as persuasively as possible, because if you get enough people agreeing that it's wrong, then maybe the society starts to treat it as wrong.
What's up, mandibles?
What's up?
What's going on, man?
I think waxing might have had a long enough time out now. All we did is say the N-word. Like,
I do not unmute people who say the N-word.
you don't?
Real,
What?
real as shit.
Okay, it's one thing to like mute briefly and make sure they get it, but like,
I don't trust him.
This is censorship.
I believe in second
I literally,
chances.
I told him in the beginning, and you were here when I told him not to say the N-word, and then he said it again, so.
Did he? Oh wait,
What
I
is in
missed.
charge?
Good
Okay,
call
if he
when
was already
screaming
warned,
Yankee.
whatever. I
Eating
didn't
a
know. I didn't
sweet,
notice.
succulent meal.
I was a little preoccupied with the message I was writing.
That's good.
Anybody want to talk about something cool? Not like capitalism, like bugs or something?
I like to torture bugs.
Are you like a bugs autist?
I don't have autism, quite frankly. I just know everything there is to know about bugs and plants
Yeah,
and
you-
fungi.
Wait, can I ask a question? Do ants have tongues?
You can't know everything there is to know about bugs without being
I
autistic.
know, quite frankly, literally everything.
Oh, you're Trump. You're like Trump, bug Trump.
Shit.
What?
Yeah.
Bug Trump. My favorite bug would have to be, if we're gonna do bugs and not insects, I would say it would be a trilobite of some sort, because that's still
The
considered
fuck
a
is
bug.
that?
It's an old bug. It's extinct now. I wear on my hand right now is a ring with a fossil of a trilobite on it, and it's my favorite possession I own. I'll send a picture of a trilobite in chat real quick. They're so fucking cool, dude.
Oh, it's like I'm looking on Google Images. It's like trilobite, and it's like this far out. It's like almost like a centipede, but way wider.
Yeah, horseshoe crab, pretty much. Horseshoe crab without the
Yeah,
dorsal plate.
yeah. It's like a horseshoe crab fucked a centipede, and there's a picture of a diagram of a trilobite, and it looks like a vulva.
You should send that for purposes. I need to just see that scientifically.
What are you gonna jerk off to the bug? What?
Might a little bit, you know. Not.
What do you
jerk, just
think
touch,
about
you know?
anarcho-capitalism?
I don't know what that is.
Well, anarcho-capitalism is
So the anarcho part. Oh, chat, but I can
Holy
DM it to you.
Do you want me to go or you
What the
go?
fuck? Oh, I actually. That's
Oh my god.
You're cutting out.
Yeah, you see it? Isn't that like?
I'm getting.
Doesn't that give you kind of a bug boner?
You didn't send anything unless my Wi-Fi.
It says your message cannot.
Ooh,
No,
guy
it's
doesn't
because you
have
don't
image
share a
perm.
server with the recipient. Yeah, I don't have image perms in this server. I don't know who left.
I am.
Child
I don't have image
neglector.
perms either.
All right, there. Just Google trilobite, you'll see it. Like it pops up on Google. It's like a image, kind of black and white, old school looking. It's like a diagram type thing of one, but it looks kind of like a vulva, like just at a glance.
Oh, from Rosanna Chambers. The website is Rosanna Chambers.
I don't know. How long are we going to talk about that? Oh yeah, from Rosanna Chambers.
Oh yeah, I guess that kind
I just mean at a.
I so do not
Like,
care
it's
about
not-
this
not
topic.
really the one
I
in the-
really do not care about this topic. I would much rather talk about anarcho-capitalism.
Damn it!
Okay, so the anarcho part references anarchy, that there is no state, there's no ruling regime. And then the capitalism part, it means you have free enterprise on a system of private property, free exchange of private property. So when you combine them, it's society where you have 0% public sector, nothing is provided by the state because there is no state, and instead everything is private sector. So all demands that are of greater benefit than cost anyway are produced on the free market competitively. For example, things like roads and protection from murderers and, judicial adjudication and military defense and so on. They're all provided on a competitive free market basis. And you apply the full forces of market pressures to them.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Oh my god. That sounds awful. That
What would make you think that?
It would be very quickly like a corptocracy or whatever it is when like corporations control fucking everything.
That's what we have now. Government is how they do it. Government is how they do it. Government is not a check on corporate power. Government is the sword that they wield.
But I think the government needs some. Oh, okay. I'll let you keep going. I guess. Never mind.
I think you were going to say that the government provides some level of check on what the corporation. Not at all. Not nearly as much as power it gives them. Corporations in the first place could not even exist in the absence of government. They literally wouldn't exist as corporations. They would just be companies. A corporation is a fiction of the state. It's artificial personhood granted to a fictitious entity whereby the owners can subvert tort liability. That by itself gives them massive power that they could not otherwise muster. And then, you pile on top of that the vast ocean of cronyism, the regulatory capture, the corporate welfare, and so on, artificially consolidating and oligopolizing major market sectors. We create a deeply perverse economy whereby major industries are controlled by the top few players. That's not what a natural market looks like.
I mean, it is what a natural market looks like because capitalism breeds that, right? Like capitalism.
No, it doesn't.
At the very base of it, it is built on perpetual, continual growth, and growth doesn't mean innovation under capitalism. It literally is. Capitalism has to continue to have growth. Like it does. That's just what capitalism is.
No, where do you come up with that? Explain this. I'm retarded. Explain that to me.
I think it's based on the business principle that a business is either expanding or contracting.
He's talking about corporatism, but I want to hear this. Explain how actual capitalism, necessitates growth.
Huh?
I think it necessitates growth.
When you made a claim that capitalism needs to grow.
Well, okay. I thought I misunderstood what you meant. What you said.
The question was directed, I believe, at Mandible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mandible.
Yeah, I don't remember. I took a business class a while ago, and the basis of we talked about general. Yeah.
So you're just speaking words, not any truths.
I don't mean this to disparage you at all, but that is something you would hear in a business class, but it is not something you would hear in an economics class. And it's absolutely not true of businesses looking from the outside. It's merely an attitude that a successful business owner should employ, but it's not actually true. For example, I used to run a business. Now it's my dad running it, but I used to run a business in the field of pet care. That business has been about the same size since not long after COVID. For several years, it's been not growing, not shrinking, at least not meaningfully, just kind of stagnating. And there's a lot of businesses that are just kind of stagnating. Now, within free market capitalism, not speaking of current cronyism, but free market capitalism, the scale of business growth is constrained by the phenomenon of diseconomy of scale. This is the phenomenon where you've milked all of the extent of advantage from economies of scale. For example, it's all right, a business that is buying 10,000 pounds of steel will pay less per pound of steel than one that's buying 10 pounds of steel, of course. Bulk discounts. But it's not like if you buy 10 million pounds of steel, now you can pay 1 cent per 100 pounds of steel. Eventually you hit a limit, past which point you've exhausted the availability of bulk discounts, and scaling up further doesn't make it cheaper. You're not becoming more efficient, and then you're at the optimum efficiency point. But if you go much further beyond that, and how much further depends on the model, if you go much further beyond that, now you're finding
size. This is the whole functionality behind growth companies in the stock exchange.
If you go much further beyond, the limitation on bulk discounts and so on, you start finding that your costs of production per unit begin to increase with increased scale of production. You have increased layers of bureaucracy, more separation between upper level management and lower level operations, more moving parts bumping into each other, bottlenecks and things like production processes. They become far more pronounced and intensified. And eventually you find that you're spending far more to produce the same widget per widget than you were to produce that same widget at a smaller scale. And on a free market, this means that giant megacorp type businesses, not that there would be those, but hypothetically a business that's too large would be outcompeted by its smaller and more efficient competitors, which, mind you, doesn't mean little mom and pop shops. It just means smaller. But the paradigm that we have now under the state is such that the state, these corporations, they can use the state to impose onerous costs on their smaller competitors, taking away the advantage those competitors would otherwise have, making it much more costly for them. They're able to utilize taxpayer dollars for corporate welfare, an ocean of patents for outright monopolies, similarly, things like limited licensure and so forth, blocking market competition, and therefore they can prop themselves up to complete oligopoly. So I think the central tenet of corporatocracy is the state.
That's exactly right, because the corporatocracy uses the corporate power uses government ability to eliminate competition.
The state is the sword. You know what I mean? If we eliminate the sword, then they'll have to compete.
But one can argue then, is there an effective or efficient state out there that could be efficient and effective at governing? And by that,
it depends what you mean.
We need to find out what is the true role of what government should be, and how do we sequester it so it doesn't expand.
So there's only one thing that government is more efficient at, or for that matter, able to do better than the private sector is. And that is anything that has a greater cost than it has a benefit. And I would posit that things that have a greater cost than benefit shouldn't be done at all. Government, for instance, is able to allocate a nation's resources toward foreign wars of aggression or genocides and death camps and so on. But one thing they're not able to do more efficiently, ever, this is without a single exception, one thing they're not ever able to do more efficiently than the private sector is the satisfaction of demand. That is, satisfying the needs and wants of the people in proportion to some quantification of urgency in people's needs.
That's completely incorrect, my friend.
Do you dispute the economic calculation problem?
My dispute is that government can never satisfy demand.
I said government can never satisfy demand more efficiently than the private sector. For example, people want firefighting, and the government can provide firefighting. So in that, if my house is on fire and the government sends a firefighter or sends a fire truck and they put out that, they have to some extent satisfied the demand. Of course, nobody's arguing that. They would have to be insane to argue that point.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You wish to purchase something. Okay. And we're going to define efficiency by your ability to get that object with the least work possible.
That's least work by me or least work in general?
This is where we get into the weeds, and it's good that you notice this. So the least work by you, we'll start there.
Well, government absolutely can make others pay for me to get something. If I'm very poor, which incidentally I am.
Excellent.
If I'm very poor, I can get on all kinds of welfare, and I can milk the taxpayer who's actually earned their money.
We don't need the story time, but we see what we're talking about. If we relate the efficiency to oneself, you could see that in fact the government is extremely efficient at providing that. Because they can technically make your work
aggregate
to zero.
Sure. In the aggregate, no, but for a particular person, for a net recipient.
We'll get
for
to
a
the
net
aggregate
recipient,
in a
absolutely.
second. Excellent. So number one, prima facie, the government can. No, we understand the framing here. The government can be very efficient at doing that.
Ask him how
At
the
taking
government
from this
does
guy and
rational
giving to that
economic
guy, sure.
calculation.
Again, I'm just saying
Even that, calling
we've
it
proven.
Calling it
Hold on.
efficient at doing that.
But hold on, we've proven that the government can be very efficient at satisfying demand. Now,
I would put
What if-
100
what if-
qualifiers for that because it's a different.
we don't
It's a
need
fundamentally
qualifiers.
different premise.
It's just a question of don't look at Paul while we rob him. There's no qualifier beyond this needed.
All right, can I jump in here
Okay,
real
but
quick?
in doing so, they're detracting from the satisfaction of Paul's
Like
demand.
I said, the only
So
caveat is
here's
don't
the
look at
issue,
Paul.
right? When it comes to taxation, whenever any dollar that you get from a tax was stolen from another person, it was not asked to be given to another person. Every dollar that's put into the private sector was done through voluntary transaction. So every single time that you take anything from another person, that's money that would have been spent on something that they actually wanted, but is now being spent on something they might have wanted or most likely did not want,
You're
or what the state
missing
actually
the beauty
wants.
of the government's
So when you
ability of monetary action.
excuse me. So the reason why the state is not very good at rationally allocating scarce resources is because they don't have the price signals that allow them to make those allocate those scarce resources. So when you look at a business,
disingenuous argument.
so when you look at a business, right, and you wonder how do businesses know what people want and at what quantity? Well, what they do is they look at prices and they make decisions based on those prices, and then they sell. And what gets bought out and what doesn't get bought out gives signals to them
Selling.
whether or not
You're wrong.
well, they're not selling. That's the issue. What they're doing is they're stealing and then they're giving it to other
This
people.
is why, if you listen carefully to what I said and what you're talking
That's
about,
why they're
now,
always
you're
more.
talking about on the
That's why
opposite
they're
end
more
of the
rationally.
spectrum.
That's why they're not as
Stop.
good at
I don't
allocating
care
scarce
about the sell
resources.
side. I'm talking about the demand side.
Yeah, they're not good at meeting the demand as
So
well
why are
as
you
a private
talking
company.
about the other side?
Because they're not good at meeting a demand as a private company, and the reason why is because they don't have any way
This
of
is absurd. I just proved to you before that the
No, you
government
can
can
not.
be the most
Let me
efficient
finish. You
possible
wouldn't. You would not.
satisfying
You're
demand.
scared to allow me to
Why
finish
are
my
you
sentence.
arguing when
Just
I've
let me
proven
finish my
something
sentence.
absolute?
No, you did not. No, you did not. The ECP
I
is
did
true.
not prove that.
Demand.
I did not
When people
prove that I
think of
could get
demand-
you, a person, the object you want for no work possible, which is the most efficient possible way. You have a hard time
It's
ratifying this in your brain.
How do you give
To
something to?
characterize
How do you
that
give
as
something to somebody?
satisfaction-
How do you give something to somebody with no work possible?
But listen, don't look at Paul. We robbed Paul blind. You are Peter.
Yeah.
I'm the government.
Yeah.
I robbed Paul blind, but we don't discuss him. All you know, Peter, is I gave you the money to purchase the thing you want. I, the government, satisfy your demand at the most efficient rate possible.
Yeah, but
because
at the expense of
efficiency
another
means
person.
Getting the most benefit. Stop. Efficiency only means getting the most product for the least amount of work.
Yeah, but you could.
The government,
Yeah,
have
but at an
satisfied
expense
to
of
the
another
maximum
person.
mathematically this. Again, we're not talking about that person.
I know that you want to ignore that person because it damages your the way that you're calculating utility. But again, you have
No,
to
you are
have
not
to put in.
listening to the
Excuse
entire
me.
story.
Hold on. Let me
You are
finish.
talking
Let me
about
finish.
producing.
Let me finish. So what I was going to say is, when you steal from another person, that's utility that person would have been spending on something that they actually wanted, but is now being forced away from them.
You're
It's spent
missing
on
the
something.
absolute beauty of this,
It's
my
being
friend.
spent. Listen to me. It's being spent on
The
another
government
person.
no longer has to
by
steal
a
from
person
Paul
who's-
anymore.
How? What do you mean? They steal from people all the time.
Welcome to the lovely year of 1694. We're currently in England. England, the mighty England.
We're not
is
in
at
He
England.
doesn't
war.
respond to
Those-
prices.
Do you know your history, my friend?
I know that we're not in England right now.
You're an Ancap, eh? One of taxation theft's buddies.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys are young. You haven't been in Ancapistan for a long time, and you're believing a lot of
So you're
bullshit
big
that you've
brothering
read
me?
on the internet.
They can't
So you're
calculate
big
what
brothering
line
me
of
right now?
production
Telling
is the
you
most cost
that you're
efficient,
not understanding
i.e.,
the bigger
the
picture.
most profitable.
You've closed
You're not
your
understanding
mind
the
to
bigger picture. You're not allowing me to.
ANCAP-only
You don't know what the
information.
EC. You said that you don't
No,
believe in the
wait a minute. Wait a
ECP.
minute. Saying we're not understanding the bigger
I'm
picture
trying
while
to
saying
ask
don't look
him.
at Paul seems
I'm
problematic.
trying to teach him about
Yeah, you're saying don't look at
1694.
Paul, but we're not looking at the bigger picture. How does that make any sense?
No, because listen, your paradigm is that you have to steal from Paul.
You don't
And
have
this
to
is
steal
why I
from Paul.
say that's not true. No government is stealing from Paul, even though I told you not to look at him.
So what is
They're
taxes?
not actually stealing from him anymore.
What is taxes? How does the state get
Like
their
I
money?
said, welcome to the world of 1694.
We're not in
We're
1694.
currently in
How does the
England.
state get its money?
Listen to the story, you buttfuck.
Average
Do
status.
you know
I'm
what
a
happened in
buttfuck.
1694? Do you know what happened in 1694?
I don't care. We're not in 1694. How does the state get its money?
Talk like people. Stop interrupting each other. I enjoy
trying
listening.
Well,
to tell
wait,
you
let him
this,
make his
but you don't
point.
wanna
Come on,
listen.
what happened in 1694?
1694, Britain. Britain's at war with the French. The Brits loved everything. They had everything. But it turns out that this war is costing one fuck ton amount of money. The French also. They had a fuck ton of shit too. But it turns out this war is costing a fuck ton amount of money. They need a solution. They need it quickly. They need to provide real world products today. But they don't have the wealth today. They came up with an ingenious solution. It's called creating a bond. Simply what they're going to do is they don't have to rob Paul, because this new Paul that they're going to have isn't even alive yet. Hell, he's not even a sperm in
Yeah,
original Paul's
cost
nuts.
takes place. So
we are
many
getting into
resources,
monetary.
a countless
Just say
amount of them,
monetary
like
inflation.
during wars.
But you have to
We
understand
don't
what's
need
going
the whole
on.
story.
No, but listen. You cannot point to anybody who is actually going to be robbed. That's the beauty of the system. There is no robbing of Paul.
In order
There's
to
no
make
nothing.
monetary inflation viable, in order to make monetary inflation viable, they have to tax people.
Also, they
No,
have to
the
force you to use their
taxation
money
is
too.
merely a pressure release valve on inflation. If there was no taxes, inflation would be sky high, because you're slurping in all this money from the future. Money creation leads to inflation. That's all inflation is money creation. Without taxation as a pressure release valve, your inflation would be through the fucking roof.
Yeah, but here's the issue.
The government cannot, by way of magic, produce more economic wealth, that is resource wealth, out of thin air. Doing some trick of currency cannot change that.
You're not getting it. They're taking the wealth from Paul of the future. And the reason why you
So
need
they are
your
robbing Paul.
taxation. Listen, you will not be able to compete. You are England of 1694. And you've got a choice in your future. You could either A, pull wealth from the future and live and prosper, or you could do B, like you're trying to say, and that you're just going to tighten your bootstraps, and you're going to fight the war with the no money that you have. Well, guess what? In 1 week, you're dead. And in 1 week, the other you...
Or option C.
Hold on. In 1 week, the other you who decided to take money from the future is alive and dominating the world. You will never be able to...
Baby girl, there is a third option.
ANCAP. Hold on. If you want to compete, which is what you ANCAPs always love to proclaim, competitions through open markets. Well, through the open market of the world, your choice just led to your destruction.
Baby girl, there is a third option. We are not constrained to the options of A, inflation, or B, fight the war without inflation. We are very much open to option C, which is don't engage in the warfare in the first place. Don't hold a war.
You cannot change the timeline. I told you were at war with France. Don't create a fake little symposium
but that's a
that
product
doesn't
of the
exist.
state.
You don't
That's a product
get it.
of the state, though.
You don't get... Okay, well, let's look at the same example now that you understand the beauty of unlocking bonds. You are a corporation in your little Ancapistan. I am a corporation in my little Ancapistan, right? And cap comes from the word
corporations in Ancapistan.
Okay, a business. The cap in capitalism, and what moves in capitalism? That is capital. And what is capital? Capital is wealth that doesn't have a home. And what is the thing that capital hates the most? Being homeless. So if I find a way of devising investment of that capital to my business versus yours, I'm going to have an edge over you, taxation. And if I can entice that capital to come my way by giving them interest, I am going to do a lot more capital investment in my business than yours. You're going to lose because you will not be able to get the capital that you need to grow. I can, and I'm going to dominate everything.
Are you just saying that market forces apply to loans?
I'm saying that applying interest to ingest capital to your company is a very good idea. And if you don't want to offer that service to people, capital will flee funding your company as a home.
Nobody is calling, no ANCAP is calling for the borrowing of interest. You know, if you want to give a loan and charge interest, that's your right.
So you
That's
acknowledge the benefit of taking wealth from the future to get it today?
Well, you're not
within the constrained example, not as a broad categorical principle applying regardless of circumstance and regardless of the nature of it.
Now here's my
Within
question.
the constrained
As an
example,
ANCAP, do you believe in Keynesian economics?
no, fuck no.
Oh,
So,
no.
okay,
The difference
well,
is that a
doesn't
state
that
is not
just-
the one that's
doesn't-
doing it.
Doesn't that justify
privatize
your
the banks.
position right now?
No, we're saying we need to privatize the banks.
Hold on. You wanted to stimulate growth in your corporation or company by pulling in money from elsewhere. This is exact Keynesianism. And you're going to take that surplus and you're going to take that growth that you got and you're going to pay back the loan that you brought forward from a year ago. See, this is exact Keynesianism. Just I didn't use
There is
the
a
word
lot
Keynes,
more to
and I just
Keynesianism.
simply hold on. I just described exactly what I talked about with the business seeking capital, but I didn't use the word Keynesianism, and you were all clapping for it. And then I said Keynesianism, and you never even thought about what Keynesianism is. You just said, "Oh, Keynesianism, I have to hate that stuff because that's what I heard on the internet." Never actually thought about what it actually means, but I just have to hate it. See?
Oh,
You guys
yes,
are
we don't know
buffoons.
anything about Keynesianism, yes.
Keynesianism calls for general spending, regardless of actual demand, for the purpose of stimulating aggregate demand. That is, anything the government spends money on is good, in the viewpoint of Keynesianism. That's certainly
That's
not right.
true. Where did you come up with this idea?
Keynes.
Talking to Keynesians, reading Keynesian
I don't
excerpts
know
from
what you've read,
John
but you're
Maynard Keynes.
completely wrong if you never saw the parallels between a corporation
John
seeking
Maynard.
capital inflows.
I was judging by John Maynard Keynes himself, largely.
Government
Do you know-
deficit
do you know where
spending is way
Keynes got that
different from
idea
private
from?
investment.
I don't.
The exact situation I described, you being a company and you wanting money today to grow your business.
Where do I buy food?
You don't know Keynes.
Okay.
You just
What
know
you're
how to feel
essentially
about
doing-
it because your mind told you so. You haven't thought about it at all.
What I'm seeing you do
Malinvestment in
kind
the
of
private
across
sector is
different
possible and
subjects.
happens,
What's a good
but
parallel
it's
for
not
this?
inherent.
This is kind of like if I see somebody park a car, and so they've brought their car to a stop, and then I suggest, okay, so you agree that bringing a car to a stop is good. So when I tell you to crash that car
Malinvestment
head on
is
into
inherent
another
to
car, which will
government
bring them
spending.
both to a stop, you should agree that that will be twice as good.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You are taking a principle that one can agree with reasonably within very constrained, limited circumstances, such
Dude,
as
You are
company-
ignorant to the fact that where Keynes got the idea of that.
Sure, I'm sure. I don't doubt the premise. I'll take your word for it that Keynes was inspired by the idea.
Then how
of
is it
a
that
company-
Keynes can be inspired by one idea, which is an exact copy, just different names of the variables?
No, it's not an exact
And
copy.
You were all in agreement of a corporation pulling capital in from outside of itself. And then now all of a sudden, because I invoke Keynes and government, a corporation, which is the government
you're
or
not
a company,
you're not understanding
invoking wealth from outside
one
of
small
itself,
point.
and all of a sudden you're against it.
Here's one small difference, right?
The
One
act- no,
well, no,
there
no.
is a
Listen,
small
let me
difference.
answer.
There
Let me
is
respond.
not
Wait,
company.
Very
let me
large
respond. Let
Taking
me
money
respond.
to grow
Okay.
your company so the
So here's
the
the
interest that-
response, right? The one difference is, oh, he left.
Oh, he left.
Well, what the argument I was going to make was the one difference is that you're talking one is a state and the other one is a private company, so it's not the same. Yeah.
What he was, I can't find. I know there's a very good metaphor for this somewhere that I'm sure I'll think of in the next 24 hours. He was taking a small idea applied to a particular thing, and then just trying to turn it into some like grandiose principle that applies to all things.
Yeah, he's not very smart.
For example, okay, you agree that that Jewish man that kind of screwed you over yesterday is kind of an asshole, right? Okay, therefore, you should agree with this book, Mein Kampf.
That's one stretch. That's a bit of a stretch.
Well, but that's what he was doing. That guy was bigger.
No,
that guy did more stretching than that guy did more stretching than a porn star. You know.
Socialists are economic creationists.
God, I love that phrase so much.
Me too. Me too.
All right, I'm gonna go hang out with my son.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll take it easy. If y'all are still on later after he's asleep, I may be back on.
Yeah. I'm gonna be up until like 11, and then I'm going to bed.
Quite specific.
Oh, I gotta work tomorrow.
I can't imagine having that much control over when I'm asleep.
Oh. I don't have a problem sleeping.
Well,
I generally don't have trouble sleeping when I need to.
Yeah, fair enough.
I noticed that people who have a hard time sleeping generally are lazy. Lazy worker. They don't work that much.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Because you know what? I work so much that, I never have a problem sleeping. As soon as I get home, I just knock the fuck out.
That's good, yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Let's hope some new, interesting people come in. All right, doing the dungeon. Hello.
Hello.
We are anarcho-capitalist.
Oh no, this is a guy from this one group chat I'm in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
On Instagram, yeah.
Well, we
the
are.
guy was friends with a guy who sends like constant like pornography in,
Yeah, he does.
Is there any reason why he does that?
Well, he's been doing that like since high school, so
Ah, that makes sense.
Porn.
Well, that's to be reasonable.
Are you an ANCAP?
no.
Oh. Why not?
Well, like I agree with you guys on a lot of economic positions, but like I believe we should still have a state to maintain law and order and a robust national security.
You can have that. You can privatize that.
And like I'm also like kind of vested in wanting to preserve the American empire.
Ew. American Empire is kind of fucked, man. Do a lot of messed up things. It will fall one day.
I hope not.
What's going on, John?
What's up?
I'm an ANCAP. We're ANCAPs. What do you know about it?
I know a hair about the anarcho part, but I mean, why wouldn't it just be anarchy? Why do you have to make the distinction of anarcho-capitalist?
Well, because we believe
different property theory. Leftist anarchists will believe in occupancy and use. So that means that if you don't utilize property directly, or if you
I
don't,
know Ancaps are
occupy
dumber than
property
flat
directly,
earthers.
by occupying that means, like living in a house or whatever. While using it would be like, maybe you have your little, farm or whatever. So, or little garden, I should say. So that'll be their conception of property. While an ANCAP view of property, we sort of introduced not a very exact copy of the Lockean principle, but definitely inspired from the Lockean homesteading principle that if you're able to homestead property and that property has, or rather, property comes from the potential for conflict, the scarcity. So the fact that there's scarcity and conflict, you are then able to homestead those things to then establish property rights, and that's kind of a difference between leftist anarchists and anarcho-capitalists. That's why we kind of have a different name.
Yeah, one time I actually got a ANCOM to admit that if he had a height,
wrong, KingSithis.
if he had a house, basically, and he wasn't using the bedroom in the other bedroom and had an open window, that a homeless person would have the right to climb in there and sleep in it because he's not using the bedroom.
Sounds
Okay, might wins every time.
you answered
I
my
don't
question.
disagree that might wins every time.
Thanks.
I just disagree that might makes right, obviously. Oh, he left.
Yeah, well, that's all he really wanted.
Who cares? What's right if you're losing?
I mean, you could say that about rape. I mean, if someone's raping another person, you could just, would you say, oh, who cares? You're
I
losing.
noticed the taxation is theft was on this channel earlier.
Yeah, he was. But he
Yeah.
had to go hang out with his son.
Interesting guy.
This guy, my commenter just said, he said, might wins every time. Prove me wrong, KingSithis. And I said, well, if you do have the might, well, then you do win, right? And then he says, who cares?
You'd be scrambling,
But I
oh no.
said, basically,
You violated
but the
my
issue
nap.
is, I just don't believe that might makes right, right? And then he said, who cares? What's right if you're losing? And then I'm like, well, let's say if a person is about to rape another person, and they have the might to, should I just say, who cares? you're losing.
LOL.
So basically, under his ideology, rape is okay so long as you have the might, basically. It's kind of fucked.
Wait, so like, is it not okay, like, if like you're weak or something? Like,
Well, right is an ethical view, right? Whether or
I
not
just
something is
said
right
might wins
or
every
not,
time.
and just because somebody has the might to do something to you doesn't make them right. Whether or not you think they're right or wrong depends on your moral view. So because I believe in the non-aggression principle, I would say the person's wrong because, you know, they're forcing you to do something that you don't want to do. And, you know, again, I don't disagree that if somebody has the might to do something against somebody, well, then they have the ability to do so. I don't think any ANCAP disagrees with that. The issue is that what we disagree with...
Exactly. But fuck your morals if you're getting raped by someone who doesn't care about your nap.
Yeah, again, just because somebody has the... I'm talking to my chat, not you guys, but just because somebody has the ability to force their will upon you, I mean... Does that just make morality no longer matter anymore? So we're just going to throw out morals because somebody has the ability to throw out... Because somebody has the ability to put their might against you? So we're... You know, are we just going to let people who are stronger than other people do whatever they want? Because, hey, might is just the way it is. Fuck morals. Obviously not. I mean, the fact that you're even talking to me right now just proves that you believe that you at least have the right to talk to me. And if you didn't have the right to talk to me, then why are you even talking? That means that at least to a certain degree you believe in rights.
How do you beat might?
How do you beat might?
right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. How do you beat might? With more might. Again, Incarnation, like, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I don't disagree with you that if somebody has the might to do something, they have the ability to do something. The disagreement...
Exactly.
The disagreement, right, is that I don't believe that they're right. Whether or not somebody's right or wrong is based on your moral
might
outlook.
wins every time.
So what do you base your morality on?
The non-aggression principle.
Is that based on a first principle basis?
Yeah, we're very deontological.
Actually, it's not.
Hmm? So, you know, if somebody has the might to come up to you and stab you, does that just make it okay because they have the might to do so?
Well, let's get back to the non-aggression principle, right? Why should I follow that principle?
Well,
Are you arguing right now, or rather, when you're arguing?
No, NCAP.
Can I please
let him finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. So when you're arguing, would you say that arguing presupposes self-ownership of yourself?
I think any statement like that is based on any first principle.
Well, So
yeah.
I'm gonna get to it. I'm not being immediately not immediately going to that conclusion. But if you're currently arguing, so let's just say you're arguing with someone over the use of someone's property. I'm guessing you agreed that that presupposes so you're owning yourself. So a lot of people within the ANCAP community would say that self-ownership, or at least maybe someone believes more of a virtue in virtue ethics, they may go off life, but the most common one would be the one that I'm currently using. So you're arguing right now over the use of property that presupposes life, and then to go into go further, if when you're arguing, argumentation is a way of resolving a conflict. Would you agree? So let's just say you're arguing with someone over I believe ketchup tastes good, and someone says, I don't know, ketchup tastes bad. That's usually trying to get towards the end of some sort of agreement, some sort of conclusion. Would you agree?
That might be the case, but
No, I mean,
well, sure. If you're having an argument, it's based on wanting to come to an agreement. I mean, sure. What's your point?
Especially if we apply it to property. So I'm arguing, all right, I want to keep my own property, and this guy, no, you shouldn't own this property. By property, it's all about maybe my smartphone, or maybe I have a banana in my hand and he wants to take my banana, and I'm saying, no, you can't take my banana. So that's a form of argumentation and trying to find, the truth, I guess. Whether someone owns a property or someone doesn't own the property. But then, you would say that because someone is, because that person is trying to contradict, the point of argumentation. So that would be to find some, conclusion through aggression. That would be a contradiction. So you'd be in a performative contradiction.
Your property is only recognized through a function of recognition via some form of authority.
That would support the theory of self-ownership, I guess.
That authority doesn't have to be a state. That's my only disagreement with that argument.
I'll just say this. You may find flaws of this. There's a lot of disagreements within the Ancap community or the libertarian community where the argumentation ethics are sound.
My stream is much better than yours. I am live right now.
There is
this stream sucks. Come watch me instead. I am live. Come to my live stream instead. This one sucks.
Well, at least one of the ways.
I am live.
Another way
Come follow me. I am live.
Natural rights or natural law.
No. Oh no.
This kind of. You have three options in law.
If your stream is so great, you wouldn't need to do what you're doing right now.
And, the non-aggression principle, so to speak.
You wouldn't need to advertise your stream and my
then
stream.
You can derive it from that as well. Now, there's a lot of ways they, a lot of libertarians attempt to, derive it from first principles. I was just using the most common way of deriving it.
Nice.
So, the first argument you made about deriving it from a first principle when it comes to the internal logic. I mean, this is just an internal logic, right? So if I do want a society where we have a certain degree of respect to people's properties and to individual rights, then if you agree to that, right, well, then given what you believe in, you can derive from that certain things like the non-aggression principle and so on and so forth should be respected. Okay, I could, let's say for the sake of argument, agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, what do you ground your non-aggression principle on from an objective point of view? Like, let's say I'm like, you know what, I don't believe in anything. I might even believe might makes right? Why should I, from an objective basis, agree to the non-aggression principle?
I mean,
because I find it to be like the same as religion. It's just some made-up philosophy that people prefer over another, but one is not more objectively morally right than the other.
I mean, it really depends on. So, like I said, with argumentation ethics, you would go into, it would be a performative contradiction. But then your question would be like, but what does that rely on? Well, first of all, that would probably, the main theories of argumentation ethics would go back to like discourse ethics and stuff like that, which kind of relies on the, what's it called now? The consensus theory of truth, I guess. But I guess to go into more detail with that theory, if you're someone who's arguing and you decide to aggress, if you truly agree, or rather, if you agree to argue with the individual, you would then have to agree, by that logic, using your logic, you would have to then agree with the non-aggression principle, or at least you'd have to comply with the non-aggression principle. But if you're, if you do not agree to comply or to follow the non-aggression principle because you're aggressing, despite arguing, then you would wait a moment. Then you would probably not have any rights. You would not really deserve any rights. So in that case, you would not deserve rights. So there would be no issue with me, for example, like killing you because you don't agree with, respecting other people's rights.
Sure. So, but that I could as well say that, if I was a Muslim or a Christian fundamentalist and I wanted to implement Sharia law, Mosaic law, I could also say, you know what, if you don't agree, you die, but
well, I think the difference is that in this case it's an actual performative contradiction. I mean, if you're able to prove that if you don't follow, for example, use an actual logic that if you don't follow some sort of thing in like Islam or Christianity, whatever, then you'd be in a performative contradiction. Then use an actual, not relying on. Then I can see what you mean there, but in this case, it's an actual internal contradiction or a performative contradiction.
Well, not really, because a Muslim could say, the society that is ideal to him or in his religion is not contradictory within that system, right? So when they control women or kill gays, well, that's perfectly in line with the intent of the system, right? Which is to keep society pure, traditional, safe from sexual misdemeanors. Now, obviously, I don't agree with that, but I would say the logic is completely consistent. I would actually say that, but I actually have a criticism toward even the non-aggression principle, right? Because okay, let's say we agree, right? I don't see how you can possibly define aggression in an objective way. So even if you, let's say, hypothetically, prove that there is a universal law that says you have to abide by the non-aggression principle, right? Which there isn't, honestly. Because I think ultimately morals, ethics are arbitrary, right? But let's say I agree, okay? So who defines what aggression then is? Like, for example, I think the Ancap society would aggress upon me every second. For example, I find it to be an act of aggression that somebody builds an ugly modern building. I think modern architecture is so ugly, okay? And I have ADHD. I have high sensitivity to my environment and sounds. So when I see modern architecture, I feel bad. But in an Ancap society, would that be considered an act of aggression if my neighbor builds an ugly building near mine? Because I think so.
No. Why would that be an aggression?
Aggression would be defined as conflicts over scarce, and we can derive that from argumentation ethics as well. So, to assume someone would own, someone's good, or rather, a good can only be used in, at one place, the same, at one place at one time, same time. But which means that someone who would take that good, they would be then in a contradiction, because there would be a contradictory action there, because you cannot use the same good towards different ends at the same time. And with argumentation ethics, you can be like, because you accept, argumentation as a way of resolving that conflict over property, you then imply argumentation would then imply the definition of aggression as you know, as the you define aggression. You define.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the aggression.
I'm just kind of multitasking right now.
No,
so,
you're good. So an aggression would be the initiation of force against another person or their property. So if somebody has some, so for instance, like Zulu gave this example that I like, right? So for instance, let's say you're a guy that doesn't really like yellow socks. You'd be like, oh my God, I think yellow socks are fucking disgusting. They mess with my eyes. They annoy me, right? And then some guy is walking around and have yellow socks, you know, you can't just say, oh my God, this guy's aggressing against me. It's just because the judge is going to come to you and be like, okay, well, what did he do to you? Is there any measurable damage being done to you or your property? Because, you know, he's wearing yellow socks, you know, and then you can say that about anything. So when it comes to ANCAP, there has to be some sort of measurable damage against another person or their property. Does that make sense?
Arbitrary.
That's not arbitrary. You could measure it again. It's not arbitrary at all because it's measurable damage. So arbitrary means that when you have two spectrums and you go into between those two spectrums and you choose based on your whim. We're not choosing based on our whim. We're saying that if you have evidence, right? If you have evidence to prove that there's some measurable damage being done to another person, then you are innocent. Then you are guilty.
But damage is a personal matter. What harms me might not harm you, and it can be very.
No, it's not personal. It's physical. We're talking about physical damage.
Oh, physical.
You could measure physical. So you could measure physical damage, right?
Actually, you can't.
Because, you can't.
Even physical. Well, physical damage. If physical damage impacts people in different ways, right? You, for example, a wound, can harm somebody in ways that might not harm somebody else, right? Like,
okay, so if let me make it a little bit more easier. So like if you have a cell phone, you have a cell phone, right? And I snatch your cell phone, presumably right. I could get you the same cell phone or I could give you the value of that phone for you to get a new one, right? Right. So that's a way so we can sort of measure the damage that is being done.
Actually, in a purely physical sense. But,
in a purely physical sense.
Sure, but I don't think harm is just purely physical. I mean, that's nonsense.
Well, you can't prove non-physical harm. I mean, how can you prove? Like, if I say something to you, say like that's offensive, like your breath smells or something. I don't actually know that, but just saying.
Actually, you could prove in different ways. Maybe with future technology. If we all get
yeah, but you're talking about future technology. We're in the present, man.
Sure.
Yeah,
but we're not that far from the future.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't even know how you could even theoretically do something like that. Like, how could you even just say take away the future technology? Like, could you give me like any theoretical way you could like assess the damage of your breath stinks comments to other people?
Maybe. With maybe some chip implant into your brain, like Neuralink, and it can measure your chemical response to. Yeah.
But even so, like insults. So physical damage. The reason why us libertarians we differentiate from like physical damage and like insults or things like that is because you could measure a physical damage, right? Whereas I don't think you could really in any way, at least as of right now, I don't think there's any way you can really assess the damage of a person just by some comments you made.
All right, so I can play the loudest music in my neighborhood in an Ancap society, since you can't measure the harm.
Well, you can measure the harm to the person's eardrums that you did to them by blasting it too loud.
Well, actually, no, because even if it's very loud, it's not gonna damage their eardrum.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Well, unless it breaks their window, it's just gonna they can hear it when they're trying to sleep. They can hear it. Or I turn on my lights.
Well, it depends on who moved there first. Like when it comes to libertarian ethics and like easements and things like that, we talk about like if the person was there first and they've already.
Much better than yours. I am live right now.
What you call it? So let's say you've established a you've lived in a place and you've always played music there. then you've basically homesteaded an easement to play music. If somebody moves next to you and they get mad at you for playing music, it's just like, wait a minute, you moved in next to me knowing that I already play music.
So if let's say a small country like, I don't know, let's say Ireland, let's say it's so populated, right? And people have bought property. I can barely find a place to move. And then I find this place, right? And apparently that's an environment where, a few retarded people, they play the worst kind of, loud music, right?
Death metal.
Are you... Yeah, so should I just deal with that? Like, oh, too bad, I couldn't afford anywhere better, and now they're playing the loudest music while I'm sleeping because,
you're just going to have to deal with it. If they've already homesteaded the right to play loud music before you got there, and they didn't violate anyone's rights by homesteading that right, well then, you just got to deal with it.
Well, that sounds horrible. But
that's, wait a minute, that's true right now. Like, you can't... Like, you can, and also there's ways that you can deal with something like that. So, for instance, you could move to a covenant community, or you could move to an area of town in which they have, area where they have agreed upon, music loudness times.
Not if all the land is bought up and, there's no rent control and so on. You get what I mean? In your society...
Wait, you believe in rent control? That's ass.
Well, I'm not saying I believe in it. I'm just saying at least, that could work, to help people afford stuff.
There are ways you can deal with easements in a privatized system that doesn't, you could move. You can move to a community that has like set rules, or an HOA community that has set rules on those things, There's HOAs, right? You could,
I don't think you can just...
There's options.
Move,
you have options.
I don't think so. Even in our society, with where we have welfare and stuff, you don't just have options. I mean, there's people living.
Yeah, because we're living under a statist system that limits our options.
Yeah. So, hold on. Back to aggression, right? You said physical. What if somebody pollutes the air?
If there's some measurable damage being done to your person or property because of
who decides how much damage is enough?
Well, you measure it by, the air particles in the air.
Let's use an example. In the river, let's use an example. So, in the past, if like there was pollution, and I know you were drying clothes outside, and if that pollution would, affect, the clothes being dried there, then you could sue the company to, put in control so they don't, pollute that specific area. Another example would be that if you moved into an area and they built a factory, so, and that factory started polluting, and over time you start getting, like, lung issues, you could also sue them there. Because you first lived there, they built a factory, and now they polluted you, and now No.
What if? Hold on. What if they built a factory far away from my house, but they pollute the river that flows 50 miles to my house?
Yeah, same in that instance. But same in that instance.
Oh, really? Over 50 miles?
It doesn't matter the distance. If they're violating your rights, they're violating your rights.
Yeah. Yeah, the solution to that would be the ownership of a river. So where you could do it is people could, fence, or not fencing, but like, make, physical borders, not borders as if they stop the flow of the water, but like, they mark the river for like, their property or whatever, for their, house or whatever. Which means that if, that pollution then starts polluting your
the river
part
is
of the
what
river,
connects all those 50 miles.
That's kind of a solution to
that. And how much pollution is enough? Because you don't answer. You're just saying if they do certain harm, right? You haven't answered, though, what degree. Because I might consider all sorts of pollution that doesn't truly advance society, right? Which I would say most things. I think most stuff we do today is just a waste of, time and money. So at what point can you say that the damage done to me is enough?
When it's
if I just
measurable,
breathe
there has to be a measurable damage being done to you or your property.
How do you measure my lungs being damaged though? Because it
By
might
looking at them.
accumulate over time.
You go to a doctor and have a doctor look at it, and then they can assess the damage.
Yeah. So what if the damage is accumulating over 20, 30 years?
Well, then they're gonna owe you a lot of money.
But I'm, you know, like, how does that help me? I want
money
there to be
restitute. I mean,
measures, you know?
that's like saying that's like saying, oh, I got raped 20 years ago, and then they found the killer 20 years later. How does that help me? Well, it's just like, well, it's better than nothing, right?
Society, not because in our status society, in a normal society, we actually try to prevent. Yes, we try to, or at least,
but we don't.
If the country's smart, right? We try to prevent. You know,
but they don't.
A lot of measure. Actually, they do. We have
no,
regulations.
They
don't. They help.
No. What they do is they'd be like, you're allowed to pollute this much, and then they, even if it affects other people, and you're not allowed to get sued. They basically give companies a certain amount of money that they're allowed to pollute, and that you're not allowed to sue them for, even if it affects you negatively.
Okay, so let's say I'm constantly affected negatively. I hate the smog. I hate the feeling gives me when I try to breathe outside. So should I just sue and keep suing? Is that what you're saying to me?
It would be better than nothing.
Because nobody can.
It's better than what the state is doing.
Actually, no, it's not.
How?
Not even close.
They're letting. So you're saying letting them pollute you and harm you is okay, but having the ability to sue them is not good. Okay.
Yeah, knowing right what the minimum is actually helps me out, and knowing.
No, you
that
should
I
be
have a
allowed to
state
sue
that
them. You should be allowed to sue them if they are negatively affecting your person or your property. 100%.
So nothing can exist because people can prove all sorts of harms by.
No, you just have them. What you could do is you could have them pay you for the damage for any pollution, which will then make it so that they'll be incentivized to reduce their pollution.
And wait, hold on. So who's gonna decide what harm is? Because harm is not.
It'll be done based on the measurable damage being done from your one person to another.
That's a circular argument.
It's not circular. You just asked me the question. How do you determine? You asked me the question. How do you determine whether or not somebody's rights are being violated? And I said, well, whether or not there's some measurable damage being done from one person to another.
Because damage is also to an extent arbitrary, right? Like, what does it mean?
No, because you can measure damage. You can measure damage.
You can. So here's the thing: you can measure change. Doesn't mean it's damage. There's some.
You could measure damage.
Stuff that happens.
So, for instance, I told you the example I gave you before. Let's say I snatched your phone and I broke it in half, and then your insurance company comes up to me and says, "You got to get him a new phone." I buy you a new phone. Right.
Okay.
And now you're restored.
Yeah.
So basically, if you damage somebody, what you got to do is do whatever you can to best restore them to where they were before. And if you can't, then you have to pay them for the damage done.
So let's say I take a brain scan. It shows a certain type of brain, normal, healthy, and then I get a neighbor who sometimes talks a bit loud or whatever, and now I say, hey guys, turns out. Now I produce less serotonin because of hearing them argue. Gives me stress.
How did you determine that it was his fault?
Well, I can show that from the moment they moved in, right? This started to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you would be able to do that, but I mean, good luck.
Right. But my point is the non-aggression principle, right? I would say that it looks very arbitrary to me. I'm sorry to say, right?
What's arbitrary about it?
Because aggression is extremely arbitrary.
What's arbitrary about it?
Is arbitrary. It's arbitrary because aggression is something that you
could measure. You could measure damage being done to another person, right?
Okay. Yeah. By the way, where does it say in Ancap theory that aggression is just physical harm?
The non-aggression principle means one does not have the right to initiate force against another person or their property. That's the definition.
But where does it say that it's physical?
Another person or their property. It doesn't say your feelings. It says your person
You
or your
cannot
property.
arbitrarily determine what
May
is
I chime in
conflict
here?
initiation.
Sure.
May I please chime in?
It doesn't have to
Sure.
be physical.
Okay. Mirror, sorry. The word force is a reference to a two-body interaction. You have one entity pushing upon another. That's what the word force means.
It can also be mental, though.
I can steal your money without using
There's no
violence.
such thing as mental force because telekinesis is not a real thing.
Well, actually, the mental side of your brain is caused by, the mental aspect of you is caused by the brain, right? So if you aggress upon me in a mental sense or emotional sense, it actually affects my physical aspect. So it is actually aggression toward me.
Aries, yes, aggression by
So
your
no literal
definition,
force
but
is
the
required.
non-aggression principle defines
Sithis
itself
state that
as
non-aggression is
force,
the negation of
not as
conflict.
emotional damage.
Initiation.
Force being a two-body interaction.
Emotions are physical.
No, they're
They are
not.
not forces. Emotions may be physical, but they are not forces. The definition is forces.
But they are.
Wait, emotions
What
are
do you mean they're not?
physical?
Yeah, your
Conflict
emotional
is mutually
state is a
exclusive
result of your
actions.
physical brain.
But
Oh
are
yes,
emotions
but your
force?
the emotions themselves aren't physical. That's just a concept we made.
The non-aggression principle is not initiated.
When you feel certain things, right, which we call emotions, that is a physical feeling.
But
And
is
they
it
are
a force?
caused by physical phenomena. They're
But
caused
is it
by
a
somebody emitting sound waves or a certain visual thing, like acting a certain way, that impacts my physical side of me.
So like if can I ask
Mine
a
is
question
much
real
better.
quick? So let's say if somebody does something that's
Please follow
offensive
me, my kick.
to another person, right?
Right.
Would you
that's
say
aggression.
that would you say that I owe that person restitution because I do something offensive to them?
No, because I'm not necessarily in agreement with the non-aggression principle, right? But under that principle, if I did agree to it, if I were an Ancap, then yes, I would say you actually owe them.
Emotions have
Yeah,
a
but
physical
that's
representation
not-
in the brain.
I'm not
However,
sure how you
the
can say
emotion is
that
the normal response to
like
a
if I say
stimuli.
something offensive
It
to
would
you,
be like
I've done
arguing that
anything
seeing
physically
something
to you.
you
I've
don't intend
initiated
on seeing
force
is
against
aggression.
you in
You
any way.
definitely have. You actually have. You
How?
use force, which is yourself, your brain, to emit waves, sound waves, or other forms of action that impacted my brain. That is physical as anything gets.
It may well be physical, but it is not a force interaction. We have repeatedly told you that it's about force.
No, it is, though. I disagree with you. You think that force is just your body touching my body, or your body touching.
Two-body interactions.
So
Two-body
look,
interaction.
me and you talking right now. Those are two forces colliding, right? You emit sound waves my way, and I perceive them.
That doesn't make
Nobody
any
but you
sense.
uses the definition. So it's fine. You can hold that definition if you want, but you will never be able to enforce it. That's fine.
Well, as I said, you actually can. I don't know if you were here, but with future technology, you actually could, with a chip implant into your brain, and you could measure a certain way that people affect you emotionally, which does harm to you. So yeah, actually, you could.
When I said you couldn't enforce it, I wasn't talking about capability. I was talking about consensus. I was saying you would never be able to get people to actually abide with the definition.
Well, that's a non sequitur. I mean, you can.
But it just isn't true. You haven't done anything to the person.
You have though.
No, okay, so how about this? So let's say I'm walking around with yellow socks and you say you really hate yellow socks.
Yeah, I know your example, and yes, that would be aggression. Just like
you're saying that's an aggression to wear yellow socks if somebody doesn't like yellow socks?
Absolutely, because in the end, your subjective experience is real. It's part of the physical world. It's measurable.
That does not make any sense, man. Because you're not doing anything to them.
Actually does.
You're not doing anything to them.
You are doing anything to them. Of course you are.
What?
Just like if I go to your house near you now and I yell at your window or play extremely loud music, I am doing something to you. Yeah, that's why we forbid it. We don't allow extremely loud music at night.
Yeah, but you're talking about sound waves. That's like physical, right? Like you can at least make an argument for like physical sound waves. But like if you're talking about emotional harm, I'm talking about emotional harm.
No. Sound waves coming through your window, bothering a person that they can't sleep, is physical the same way that sucks.
Mention how it doesn't conflict over the use of your body.
Feels aghast.
That needs to be specifically pointed out.
But there's no conflict.
It's a visual.
There's no contradictory actions. So, for instance, right, when it comes to an aggression, we call aggressions to be the initiation of a conflict, which would be contradictory actions against any sort of scarce resource. Because of scarce resources can't be used at the same time, right? There can be conflicts over those uses, which means that you can't have contradictory actions with those things. So when we say initiating an aggression, we mean the initiation of conflicts, which is the contradictory actions in regards to some sort of scarce resource.
You cannot arbitrarily determine what is conflict initiation.
So
it doesn't have to be physical.
Between the
I can steal your money without using violence.
Ugly buildings or
so no literal force.
Well, because if you see my yellow socks and you don't like my yellow socks,
is the negation of conflict.
Right? I've not initiated any conflict against you
because is mutually exclusive
there's no
actions.
Contradictory actions against you or your property being done there. You could still use
my physical body.
No, I can wear my yellow socks at the same time that you look at them and dislike them, right?
That might trigger bad feelings in me, which causes me.
Yeah, but there's no contradictory actions there. We both are doing the same thing. Like, I'm not inhibiting you from doing anything with your property by me wearing yellow socks.
You're prohibiting me from functioning properly.
Oh, what? I don't know what that's even supposed to mean.
Let's use a better example, right?
Okay.
I used modern architecture, okay, which is something you cannot avoid, like, right? I mean, everywhere in society, it's around us. It's ugly as fuck. Whoever lives in a modern building has no soul.
Is it just I don't like how it looks, therefore that's an aggression against you?
Therefore,
pretty much.
It harms me. It harms
functioning properly.
It physically
it
harms
doesn't
me.
harm
By
you.
what
I don't see
standard?
why you think it's funny.
How does it harm you physically?
Yeah, there's no contradictory actions.
Hold on. The sight of ugly buildings enters my eyes, right? My brain processes it and feels awful. The same way a little child, hold on. The same way a little child, if his mom is rude, yells at him or something like that, is also aggression because the child perceives it as something very negative, right? So our personal perception, yeah.
So hold on, did you just say if I start yelling at you right now and being mean to you, is that an aggression?
Yeah, because so here's the thing, right? I'm not a sissy, but I'm just saying.
But how could you measure that damage?
I told you can measure it in certain ways. I could have a cortisol measuring device in me constantly. And
but you don't have that thing in you.
Actually, you can. So it's not about.
Okay. Let's say you have that device. Just grant that we have this device. Okay.
Well, we actually do. Yeah, you can measure.
Okay. Okay, then let's work with that, right? So we're gonna measure your cortisol and see how much your cortisol, which that correlates to like your stress levels, essentially, right?
Right, and harms me when I see modern buildings. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that I don't think that qualifies again as being equivalent to someone actually going in and doing something.
There's no contradictory actions.
Right?
There's no contradictory actions.
It is contradictory because
where's the contradictory action?
I want to be free from harm and aggression. And
even with the measurement device,
you are free
how can
from
you
that,
prove
right?
this is a causal link?
Like if I
Of
shine a
course,
flashlight
presumption
at your house,
on biting this
like at a
bullet
wall
and
of your
being
house,
generous to his
that
position.
per se is not aggression. If it's just a normal flashlight, even though it's like, oh, I don't want you doing that, right? Because you're not. There's not any actual like interference there. Like I can use my wall. I can still use my wall while you shine the flashlight at it.
Hold on. If you shine it so much, it goes through my window at night, right? Almost no matter what I do, or do you do something? Or maybe you blast music so hard my house shakes. Okay.
No, now that's different. Now we have some measurable effect, right?
No. You also have measurable effect from my increased cortisol. I told you. Why you?
Oh
why you
my
going around
god! But
this?
that's not damage.
Oh,
That's
you
not
can still-
damage.
Again, you
That's
can
not
still use-
damage.
you can still
How is
use your
that
body.
damage being done?
Cortisol.
But there's no.
You can still
oh my
use your
god!
body while that happens, though, right?
can
like
still-
me,
yes.
me increasing
actually
your
can.
cortisol levels by something I do, or modern architecture doing
Yeah,
that. Does
that-
it prohibit?
yeah.
Does it inhibit your use?
How
of
do you
your body?
measure the? How do you measure the damage being done to
Absolutely
your
does.
brain
What
by
do
the
you mean?
increased chemical
Hold on.
that increased? Like, how do you determine that?
Hold on. You can absolutely measure. For example, you can take a DNA test, which shows that under stress, you are either capable or not capable of thinking properly, which is, by the way, especially with improving genetic science, you can do that very accurately in like 10 years. So there are people who, under extreme duress or stress, can focus very well. For example, top athletes, like Ronaldo or Messi. But then you have people who, with the slightest little stress, and they capitulate, right?
Yeah, but you don't have a right to not be correct.
Hold on. My point is, you can then say, oh, here's a guy, we have his DNA, it shows he can't handle stress. And every time he sees certain buildings or hears certain sounds or whatever, he gets increased cortisol. That inhibits his ability to work, function, etc. That is measurable physical harm. That is aggression. The same way anything else is aggression.
Yeah, but you could say that about anything, right? I could say that about anything.
I agree.
That's ridiculous.
Which is why.
But that's not
yeah,
true.
exactly.
That's not
Thank
what
you.
we believe.
Excuse me. You think that Ancap is ridiculous. Thanks for agreeing.
But that's not what we believe. We don't consider
Again, it has
that to be
to
met. That
meet the standard of contradictory action.
yeah, there has to.
Does it meet that standard? For example,
there's no
Wait, what?
contradictory actions.
it has to. Yeah, it has to meet the standard of there being two mutually exclusive actions. I.e., if person A and B both try to use some property for contradicting things that contradict, they can't both use it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not trying to use your head.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to use your head.
I can't work while in front of my
Doesn't matter.
job. Right?
It doesn't matter. There's
Work
no.
site,
And
there's
there is
ugly
no.
buildings.
Where is
It is
the?
contradictory.
Where is the contradictory
But you can
actions?
still use your
There,
body,
right
though,
there.
right?
You could still use your
I
body,
can
right?
Still use your
No,
brain
I
and
just
body.
told you. You guys are not comprehending. I just told you. Under extreme duress, right? A person can be inhibited from working as.
But
as
that, okay, but
efficiently
that
as they
person
otherwise
is
could.
not physically going up to you and inhibiting you.
Oh, so it's only physical. Like he has to touch me.
Yes, contradictory actions over scarce resources.
Well,
That makes no sense whatsoever.
not every conflict has to be physical. Like I can steal your Bitcoin, and that's not physical.
Exactly. Exactly.
But right,
That's a
right?
scarce
So that-
resource. There's a contradictory
yeah, it has-
action.
yeah. So
Well, actually,
again, though,
it's not scarce. You can generate it. But here's the thing.
when we say scarce, we just mean it's not infinite. Like we didn't mean it in the economic sense, essentially.
Nothing is infinite. But okay.
Yeah,
So here's the thing.
exactly.
Yeah, so everything is scarce. Except,
My time.
everything-
My time is a resource. My time is a resource. My energy.
Time is
a resource.
scarce.
The time. Exactly. Thank you. So,
But
my
again,
ability to
if I use your body,
work-
if I say something
Hold
that
on.
you don't like, there is no contradictory actions. I'm not. You're not. We're not both trying to use the same scarce resource at the same time.
We are, of course.
What
we are
scarce
trying-
resource are we both trying to use?
Hold on. The non-aggression principle, right? Doesn't it presuppose ownership of yourself?
Yes.
And
So what
being
scarce resource
regarded
am
like-
I trying to
I would say
use
no, honestly.
that belongs to you that you are trying to inhibit me from using?
So, my
I
time.
would say the NFT comes before.
No, that's not.
self-ownership, just
You don't
as
own
well.
your time.
But,
My time is a resource. It's
No, it's not.
limited.
Where is
It's
it?
not infinite.
Where is it?
It's in my body, right? I have a.
I don't.
have a,
show. Can you show it to me? Your time.
I can, yeah. I have something called DNA, right, which has proven to be limited, right? So I don't have infinite time. Yeah.
No, I'm saying time is not a physical object in which you can touch.
Actually,
that I could take away from you.
Time. No, actually, time is change. Okay, and my body has limited amount of changes it can
Time
go
is
through
not
before
scarce,
it dies and shuts
thus
off,
it
right?
can't be ownable.
So my
You
time
just so happen to
is
exist in
fucked
this entity we
by
call your
ugly
body and mind
architecture.
during this time.
You know, it is.
Yeah, I know. I was just
Believe it or not.
being metaphorical.
Seeing buildings that are horrible, look atrocious, and I have to maybe work. And by the way, this is also hypothetical, right? I'm not saying I'm that sensitive, but hypothetically, yeah,
There's no contradictory actions.
It is.
Where?
I'm trying to use my time and energy properly.
That's okay. That's not a scarce resource. Energy is not a scarce resource. So show me the scarce resource that we're contradicting.
Of course it is. You
show me energy.
Infinite. My energy. Oh, sure. I can show you.
Show me your energy.
There are biochemical ways you can measure that. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, you can't take another person's energy. How did he take it?
What do you mean?
In what way did he?
Hold on. If I eat a meal and I'm ready to, or let's say I have to eat a meal so I can work hard, do maybe some construction work or whatever. But somebody, let's say, does something, yells at me, screams at me, and I can't eat, and now I have to go to work without eating. Yeah, he actually limited.
What do you mean you can't eat?
You can't eat. Nobody stopped you. Did somebody literally physically stop you from eating?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
In what way? So he went up to you and slapped your food out of your mouth or something?
He gave me emotional damage, right? From stress.
Wait, but you chose not to eat, right?
That's not conflict initiation.
Yeah, that's not an conflict. That's not an initiation of conflict.
I wouldn't say you choose anything. I don't believe in free will, so actually
you did not initiate. That person did not initiate a conflict against you. So, what physical object did he restrict you from using, or scarce resource?
Food, which is important.
So he stopped you from. He went up to you and he said, "You are not allowed to eat."
He yelled, screamed, made me feel very bad.
No. Did he say you are not allowed to eat?
I just told you what he did.
Did he stop you from eating?
Yeah, that doesn't mean.
Yeah, he did.
In what way? In what way? What action did he do to stop you from eating?
By mentally inhibiting my ability to eat.
No. You heard him yelling, and then you chose not to eat.
You didn't choose.
You did choose. Wait, you didn't choose?
Wait, can I get a little bit of context here?
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your brain got impacted by his
So basically, he's arguing that if you
don't have free will.
Hold on, he asked for context. So he's basically arguing that if you say something to another person that offends them or build a building that's ugly, you're doing some sort of physical damage to that other person. And I'm disagreeing. I'm saying you have not done anything to them.
Which is a fact.
That's not a fact. You have not done anything to them.
The brain and your psyche are the same.
No, you haven't done anything to them. There's no contradictory actions. What action were you contradicting? What thing did he inhibit you from doing?
Anything that inhibited me from doing the thing.
What thing did he physically inhibit you from doing?
Physically is pretty arbitrary as well, right? What does it mean?
What did he use his body to stop you from doing something with your property?
Yes.
In what way?
He used his tongue. He used his facial expressions to threaten me and scare me.
Yeah, you just don't get it, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
I do get it, but I think what you're realizing is
they haven't done. Just because I talk, I'm not physically inhibiting you from doing something.
So there are levels of inhibition. Don't you agree with that?
No, you either are inhibiting them or you're not.
Really?
You are either inhibiting the person or you are not.
So
what do you mean by that, though?
Don't you, there's something called spectrum, right? Like you can slow
Could you give us
somebody down.
different examples?
I could let's say I'm Superman, right? And I slow a car down. It's supposed to drive 80 miles, but an hour, and I slow it down. It's 50 miles an hour. So I'm inhibiting it in using its efficiency, right? So I'm not fully inhibiting, but I am to a degree that actually harms it or harms the person that wants
you're just inhibiting it in a different way. Like if you fully stop it, that would just be a different form of inhibition, I guess.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's
but it's not a spectrum. You're either inhibiting it or you're not.
Yeah, but you still are either inhibiting or you're not.
So you are inhibiting, sure, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be fully inhibiting, as in you totally.
No, you either are inhibiting it or you are not inhibiting it. There is no half inhibiting something.
I just told you there's a spectrum to it. Yes, of course.
No, there's no spectrum. You're either inhibiting it or you're not inhibiting it.
Even if, okay, I might actually agree with you. I don't even, what are you exactly trying to get from this though? Like, where does this lead us?
The whole point. Well, the whole point is aggression is arbitrary, and in the Ancap system, you will run into a gazillion conflicts.
I think we've already explicitly defined it though.
Yeah, there's no initiation of conflicts. Conflicts are contradictory actions over scarce resources. There's nothing vague or arbitrary about that.
Does every Ancap, by the way, agree that it's about the conflict interest?
You mean conflict initiation?
The correct ones.
Initiation, yeah. Sorry.
The correct ones.
Not necessarily, but I mean, I certainly am aware of other Ancaps that agree.
Who gave you the right to define it? I'm sorry to ask, but like,
no one gave. We're not defining this. This is like kind of.
This all comes from libertarians like Hoppe, Murray Rothbard, Liquid Zulu, tons of people. They are the ones that created the ideology.
You don't think there's a so here's the thing, right? Don't you understand what you're doing? You are literally, okay?
Yes, I do.
Basing your ideology on assumptions. You're basically saying, here's what non-aggression means. Whereas what I'm saying to you, right? Hold on. What I'm saying to you is, right? I don't see why I should agree to your definition of what non-aggression is or aggression is and so on. Do you understand? It's a philosophical critique.
Either way, it's a definition. So you can critique the definition. Okay. So if I put forth a definition, you could say, oh, I don't agree with that definition.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying to you. So
how is that relevant to the actual, like...
Yeah, what's relevant to the argument? If there's no contradictory actions, then there's no aggression.
Hold on. Because I don't agree to, in the first place, with what you define as aggression. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Are you libertarian?
What do you mean you don't agree with how we're defining it?
I'm not libertarian because I believe in regulations and stuff.
Okay, so then how are you, the person who's not libertarian, that doesn't study libertarian ethics as we do, going to tell us how we ought to define aggression?
So I am pretty politically neutral in many ways when it comes to the economy.
So you don't know anything about Ancaps, anarcho-capitalism?
I do know enough that I feel that the whole non-aggression...
Well, you didn't know what an aggression was, so that's pretty big.
I do. You don't know because you pretend like your definition of it is the one that everybody has to accept, which is exactly...
That is the definition.
That's our definition.
Well, it's not our definition. That's the libertarian definition of aggression.
Like, I'm pretty sure like this is kind of like what Hoppe's written about. Liquid Zulu talked a lot about this. Like, that's kind of just where we're inheriting this whole.
Okay, and I just told you. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like we just made this up.
Hold on.
Yeah, we didn't.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you didn't. But
no, we literally didn't. Are you being sarcastic?
No, I know you didn't. But okay. I'm saying. It's not a convincing philosophy, otherwise we would have followed it. You know what I mean? There's a reason nobody follows Ancap system anywhere in the world.
It's new. There's not many people that know about it. Communism, fascism, communism, every ideology, even Christianity wasn't followed until it was.
How would your system deal with nations? Like, I believe in nations and the nation state. So how does your system deal with that?
What do you mean deal with it?
Nation?
I believe that, let's say, a country like Finland should exist. It should have borders for its people. So its language, its culture, its people should be protected. What's the Ancap view on that?
Well, what you could do is you could buy Finland.
Association.
Freedom of what?
Freedom of association. People should be allowed to form communities where they can preserve values. So, for example, in Finland, I could imagine, them setting up, communities and stuff like that to preserve their values.
But the state makes it illegal because of discrimination laws.
Doesn't mean anything.
We believe in abolishing discrimination laws.
I mean, it goes beyond
the globe Earth theory when flat Earth was believed by the majority.
Yeah.
So
you should be mad at the state because of this, not us.
if a Chinese company, let's say, were to work somewhere in Finland, right? They get allowed to buy property, land. They bring in many, let's say, Chinese people, and now they get to use the Ancaps system to their benefit. They purchase more and more land and so on. What can prevent them from making Finland a basically Chinese, vessel?
Just group up with a whole bunch of other Finnish people, and refuse to sell your land to them, and then group up together and buy purchase of lands and purchase land and to try to keep them out and create your own covenant communities where you only allow Finnish people.
And you think that there will be a proper safeguard against a takeover from other nations?
We would have privatized militaries and privatized police and privatized insurance agencies that would insure your property against crimes against other people.
And you think those private militaries would protect the national interests?
Hell yeah. Because there's no nation.
There's no national interest.
I would say it would protect what people want. Well, I'm guessing what he means is what people in the nation want. I would argue that it would protect what people in the nation more than what the state currently does, because the state steals your money, right? And then they spend it on what they think you want. Whereas if a private company only spends your money on what they believe that you want,
that usually gets the point across to normies,
then
or
you can move to another one,
ideology.
which then incentivizes them to make sure that they do give you what you want, because if they don't, well, then you can move to another company. But with the state, you can't, thus creating a situation where, Finland can allow into a whole bunch of immigrants, right? And that negatively affect the other business owners in that area. And as opposed to Finnish people coming together and being allowed to do what they want to do, then the state will create discrimination laws and stuff like that. Oh, you got to let this group of people on your property and stuff like that. And if you don't, well, that's discrimination and stuff like that. The state does all that stuff.
The state in the Western world is judged by the people. It has a parliamentary system. We vote people in, we vote people out. And yes, there are corrupt elements, like there's lobbyism, sure.
That's the tyranny of the majority, right?
What?
Tyranny of the majority?
So
majority is what it wants, not the minority.
Whether it's true or not, that's irrelevant. My point is, we have what's called accountability, right? So we have an ability to also change things. So we can punish a politician by voting them out.
Once every couple of years.
Exactly, but that can also change.
But if you work with a private security agency and you don't like them, you could move to another one immediately.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. You could just stop. You can unsubscribe.
What if they prevent you? What if they say you are now you're my little?
Then the other one that you move to will protect you.
I can't move if they lock me in like North Korea.
They can't stop you. You could close your bank account.
We can punish a CEO by just not funding
You could go to your bank and then tell them, "Hey, I don't want to give my resources to this group anymore," and then they won't get money anymore.
What if that company which influences and controls my area is just so powerful that they basically have a monopoly?
Monopolies are impossible in a free market system.
No, they're not. What are you talking about?
The only well, they're not actually impossible. There's actually two ways in which monopoly can arise: new market, small market, or monopolies, which are basically small markets, there are only a few people in that area. And then there are new market monopolies, where you create a new good or service and bring it to the market, and nobody really knows about it.
Yeah, basically,
so therefore,
you're saying there can be monopolies, obviously.
But when you're talking about private security, that isn't something really new. And unless you're talking about the exception of a very small area, the more bigger an area is, the more competition there will be. Because how hard is it to get a couple guys? How hard is it to get a couple guys with a couple guns together to protect some insurance agents?
I'm sorry, you are living in this pipe dream, dude. No, listen, live in the real world.
No, it's
hold on. monopolies.
The point is having enough people of our philosophy to make it hard for people to make the state.
Oh, really?
As always,
They're the state, right?
history is dictated by the people's philosophy, which brings up that kind of governance.
That's a monopoly, right?
I'm not actually.
But that's because we
actually,
live in a world where people believe in states. Most people, the philosophy of the day today is that states are necessary. So. Yes, it is. The philosophy.
I think most people.
No, most people. Listen, let me finish. Most people believe that states are necessary in order to have, security. But if we lived in an area of people where the philosophy of the day was, one shall not aggress against another person, and the state is immoral, yeah, you would not see states popping up because people would move to other private security agencies. They would arm up to protect themselves because in Ancaps you're allowed to own your own weapons, and they could flock to militias to help them too, or they can also, and in worst case scenario, they could use guerrilla warfare.
Sorry, but that's complete nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
The notion that you would have a society, right, and there's this militia formed by a billionaire like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, right, or maybe together they're like evil.
Then what's stopped England from invading France right now, and all the countries in the EU from invading each other right now?
Good. I'll tell you, it's that we have centralized systems, right, and agreements that people also can hold to account. Right?
Okay, so then you can have that with private companies.
So my point is, you will have the same structures we have now arising from your system. Do I agree that states also resemble the Ancaps society system where everybody's
most people just follow what the leader's philosophy is?
The difference is
we need to change the leader's philosophy, and most people would just follow that.
Whereas you think, oh no, if we went ANCAP, there's just no way we're gonna have states rising, even though I think it would be the first thing that would rise.
No, absolutely not. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because we have an armed society. We have private security agencies. We will have insurance companies. All the people within that area are going to agree that states are immoral. So once one pops up, no one's going to want to fight for them. It's going to be great.
First of all, nobody's going to agree states are immoral.
The only issue, that's not true. That's not true. It's not true.
People have different.
We got to change minds.
Morality, first of
we
all.
got to change the philosophy of the day.
Hold on.
100 years ago, slavery was the philosophy of the day, and look where we are at now. The philosophy of the day has changed to that slavery is immoral, and now virtually slavery is gone in the West.
KingSithis is just remodeling states in his utopia.
Slavery in the world. There's just different definitions of slavery, right? There's different levels to it. Is there the same
cattle slavery?
Hold on. Is there the same industrialized slavery like, let's say, 200 years ago? No, but there is a form of it.
Okay, exactly. So the philosophy of the day has changed.
Right.
So to make it so that cattle slavery and things like that are now immoral.
Cattle slavery,
so therefore,
so
cattle slavery is like when you physically own another person and they are like literally your property, and you force them to work on some land in order to
there's a reason
you treat them like cattle.
From that.
The philosophy of the day went from slavery is good, and it went to slavery is bad, right? So we changed the philosophy, and because of that, people moved away, and we went into a huge war because people changed their philosophy and were like, we think that slavery is immoral, and they went to war. Yes, they did. There was a civil war.
You know what? Hold on. Of course, people will have different opinions.
Exactly.
However, the world went. Hold on. People will have different opinions all the time. But today, it's
the philosophy of the day changed.
Slavery. No. The circumstances change. Okay.
And the philosophy changed. The philosophy changed. Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Oh, that's just not true. That's not true.
Right? If you are.
What do you mean, what circumstance changed?
Well, we have something called machinery, automation. We have wealth that we never had before. Poverty as at an all-time low everywhere in the world.
Yeah, because of capitalism.
So, hold on. No, it's not.
Yes.
Hold on. So the point, not at all. It's because of technology. Okay.
Because that was created by capitalism.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was created by capitalists, entrepreneurs.
It was created by entrepreneurs, I agree, not by capitalism.
Well, capitalism is the free exchange of private property between consenting people.
People can innovate stuff and will do, okay, no matter what. That's just the way humanity works. We have a brain. You don't need a capitalist system to be able to invent stuff. Okay?
Yes, you do. If you're not allowed to make your invention, if someone's inhibiting you from making your invention, right, then you're not allowed to make it, and that's something that could have been created that is no longer created.
Socialism is not going to inhibit you.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Absolutely not.
Yes, it will. They will literally make it. They literally make it illegal for you to own private property.
That doesn't mean you can't innovate.
Yeah, but it makes it you less incentivized to innovate because you don't own. You're not allowed to reap the reward. You're not allowed to reap the reward of your private property.
Actually, you are. I'm not even a socialist, but that's wrong. That's completely bullshit.
Okay, so if I create an invention, I could just start my own private business, and the socialist state won't intervene at all.
The socialist state will have a system where everybody.
That's not what I asked you.
For their work.
That's not what I asked you.
Hold on.
That's not what I asked you. No. That's not what I. Listen. I asked you a very specific question. I asked you.
You're rattled.
Let's say I'm an inventor and I want to start my own private business, and I want to reap the full profits of all the goods and services that I created. Would I be allowed to do that under a socialist system or no?
So under a social system, everybody who contributes.
No. Okay, got you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, I would not be allowed to do that.
No, that's you.
Thank you.
Down.
No, you're not answering the question.
I am. The difference is, the question is, what does it mean that you contribute to something? So if you contributed 80% under socialism, right, you get 80%. That's how it works. Now, you can do some critique and say, well, just like I did with the non-aggression principle, which I think is complete bullshit, right?
It's not true.
The same way you can, calm down. The same way you can say, okay, well, we don't know how to exactly measure, right, what contributions you made. But to give an example,
yes, you
if
can.
I start a company, right?
That's why we have wages and profits and loss.
Hold on. If I start a company, right, under a socialist system, I hire people, and it turns out that I had ideas, I had concepts and all that. But guess who did the finances? Guess who did the programming of my software? Guess who did all sorts of heavy lifting? Well, under capitalism, oh, well, I'm the CEO. Too bad. I get 99% of the fucking profit.
Yeah, because they're the one that took the risk. The person who takes the risk gets the reward. You know what time preference is? Do you know what time preference is?
Yeah, explain it.
Time preference is the idea that when the more that you hold off on something, the more reward that you should expect to get at the end. So,
that's
for
not
instance,
time preferences.
Well, no, it's not. But it explains what profit. But time preference is basically the idea that if you have a low time preference, I do know what I'm talking about.
Listen, I'll explain it.
Low time. Let me explain. I got it. So, low time preference means essentially, well, time preference in general just means that you prefer a certain amount of time. So, for instance, if I'm low time preference, that means that I'm willing to hold things off in the future and willing to delay my gratification. Whereas if I'm high time preference, I'm not willing to delay my gratification. So it basically.
And you don't think workers do that?
Well, not immediately. So, for instance, if you're a business owner, right? If you're a business owner.
Okay, so.
Complete nonsense.
All right, you can go ahead, Anthony.
No, it's an actual economic concept.
It is an actual economic concept.
No. You're treating a serious. No. No, that's not propaganda, because this is an actual serious theory. Now, I'm going to explain it now. So, time preference, as he stated, is, but to get into slight bit more detail, is the preference for immediate time. So, low time preference just means that you have a low preference for immediate consumption of a good or service. Right. So, that means I'm able to delay my gratification for a certain good or service that I was indulging in or was planning to indulge in. And higher time preference just means that I have a higher time preference for immediate time. And if you apply it to entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship usually necessitates a lower time preference. because an employee, that's not to say they don't have a lower time preference for certain goods or services, but the point is that what one necessitates entrepreneurship is a lower time preference. We aren't saying that an employee doesn't have a lower time preference, just that it necessitates it.
So for instance, when you invest into a business, oh, go ahead.
I agree. I agree there are differences. What I'm saying is, it's not as a categorical difference in every case, where every CEO, okay, is putting more work in, delaying gratification as opposed to a worker. I'm saying it's not as different as you guys think it is.
No, but they are delaying gratification because they. No, let me explain. Yeah, because we're talking about money here, right? When you invest into a business, right? You and you're a business owner. Yeah, you may pay yourself a salary along the way, but you don't really get to reap the reward of that business until your business profits.
Of course you do. You get salary. What do you mean?
Well, you do get a salary, but I understand that, but you don't get to reap the full profits of that business unless you make a profit. And so that reward is without that reward, there's no incentive to continue to create that business, because if I'm a business owner and I'm not making profit and I'm only merely getting the salary that I get, I might as well just go work for another business and get the same salary. The reason why you risk your hold on, let me finish. The reason why you're risking your capital is so that you can get a profit, so you can earn more money than what you spent. And you holding off on that capital and waiting for the profit to come in, regardless with a worker, regardless of whether that business is making a profit or not making a profit, that worker at the end of the week, for how many hours they work, they will get paid. Whereas with a private business owner, if that business does not make a profit at all, and in fact is starting to lose a profit, they have to make up that difference. They have to pay that money until it makes a profit. And if it doesn't, well, then they lost everything. Whereas it's not the same with an employee.
Hold on. You're telling me a worker doesn't do that kind of investment himself? You don't think people move in order to be able to live close to the
If you're an employee,
you don't think you don't think people take an education and courses in order to be adept at their job?
We're not talking about that. We're talking about an actual investment into the. We're talking about they're not investing in the actual business that they're working in. Like they're not putting money into the business in which they will expect a reward later.
I disagree.
Yeah, they're receiving. Sorry, I just want to say
they're receiving a wage.
The workers are receiving wages sooner than like the entrepreneurs may in the future, at some point in the future, like make profits. Potentially, right? There's that risk, from the business. That's the idea.
Hold on. So let's say after a while, we figure out a worker, or several of them, have been probably even more vital to the business than the CEO, because they came with really good ideas. They implemented systems with their, technical skills like coding that the CEO could never do because maybe he's not good at coding. Maybe he's just good at management. Are you telling me that they should earn 1% or less of what he does?
The issue here is they didn't invest in capital. They invested in capital into the business, which then returns a capital investment.
Okay,
they didn't invest any capital into the business.
Hold on. Let's say after half a year or a year, okay?
You're not listening. Wait, you asked me a question. You're not allowing me to respond. When you invest a capital investment into a business, you get a capital return. If you're not investing a capital into a business, you're not going to get a capital return. If you are in business, if you're an employee and you say, I'm willing to work this X dollars an hour, right? And you accept that wage, then you're going to get that wage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're worth.
Under the current system, I agree. That doesn't mean it's the ideal system.
Well, under capitalism, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, exactly. But I'm critiquing that, right? What I'm saying is, I don't think just because you invest in something necessarily, with your capital, which you get back in maybe half a year or a year, should mean that you, for indefinite amount of time, get to have 10 or 100 or 1,000 times the profit, the salary of an employee or several of them or all of them combined, who together do much more probably than you do. And by the way, it's not even just the entrepreneur, as you say, the one who made the business. What about like the CEO of a company like, I don't know, if you play video games, EA Sports. Okay, he goes and gets like 50 million a year for delegating. Are you telling me, honestly, that this is in any way fair?
Yeah, your wages are determined. Your wages are determined by the value that somebody is willing to pay you for that work.
Oh, wait,
if that
hold on.
Like, hold on. No, you're not letting me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay. So, if nobody is willing to pay you $1 million for your labor, right? Then you're not going to get that paid that much. So, if you go to a job and they say, "Hey, I'm willing to pay you $15 an hour to work at this job," and you accept that job, then that is how much that business is willing to pay you for that work. If you accept that wage, then there is no coercion because it's a voluntary transaction.
This is what I'm saying. All you're doing is you're arguing from a capitalist paradigm. Do you understand that?
I'm an anarcho-capitalist. Yes, I'm an Ancap.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes, I am an Ancap. Yes.
No, I'm not.
How it works.
I agree. What I'm saying. Hold on. What I'm saying is, I would think it's actually more ideal. I'm somebody that's neither capitalist or socialist because I'm more explorative. But when I think about things, I don't think it seems logical if we're going to try to create an ethical society where we give people what they truly have, earned through their work, to say that, a guy just got a position, maybe through networking, connections, nepotism, all sorts of crap. He just got a CEO position. He didn't make the company. He didn't invest insane capital. He just got that position. But
so basically,
working really hard coding, he gets 0.01% of what he gets every month.
So us libertarians believe very strongly in the free exchange, of goods and services
the CEO
between.
Doesn't get paid for his work. You're bullshitting.
I said you get paid what you're worth. Though.
Yeah, you get paid what somebody is willing to pay you. If that CEO, if nobody was willing to pay that CEO $50 million, they would not earn $50 million.
I agree.
That means that
system, but I
if
think
you
that's a
are a person, if I'm willing to pay you $50 million to mow my lawn, that's not a shit system. That's just me choosing to pay you $50 million to mow my lawn.
Nonsense.
And the end of the day, it's free exchange of goods and services between private property owners. So if you say you're against that, then basically what you're saying is that you believe in forced exchange of goods and services between private property owners.
Here's what I believe. I believe that human beings' rights should be protected against exploitation.
So you believe in forced exchange of goods and services between owners?
First of all, of course I believe in force. I don't believe in the non-aggression principle. I told you. I think it's a stupid
You believe in the initiation of it, specifically, of conflict, right? That's what you believe.
Yeah, of course.
We're not against force either. We're against
Hold on.
initiating conflict.
I think human beings need to sometimes be put in control, and we need to have systems in place that ensure that humans aren't exploited. And
what is that?
We need to exploit people to stop people from being exploited. Is what you're saying?
For example, if somebody's spending, hold on. Okay. If somebody is spending,
we need to rape to stop rape.
Hold on. No. If somebody is let's say educating themselves all their life until they're 30, they get a PhD, right? And they're in a system where there's monopolies, like today, where the people at the top control almost everything. Yeah, you know what? I think it's exploitative. I think they'll never have a fair shot at competing in the vast
So we need to exploit people to help them from not being exploited.
Get rid of the government.
No. What we need to do is create a system
that exploits people to stop them from being exploited.
We don't exploit them. We give them what they earn.
No, you need.
People get what they earn.
People do get what they earn. If I go to a job, right, and I say, "Hey, I'm willing to work. I'm willing to work for $14 an hour," and you accept that $14, then you're getting paid what you deserve because you earned that money.
You don't. No. That's bullshit. That's your.
You literally agreed to this earlier. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you agreed.
I don't agree. I don't agree that when a CEO gets $15 million a year or
Well,
whatever,
somebody's agreeing to pay them $50 million, right?
I don't agree. So because some people, okay, want to keep certain.
So we need to force them not to pay him. We need to force that person who's paying him not to pay him.
We need to create a system.
No.
Okay,
You're saying we need to force that CEO not to be paid.
No.
Whoever's paying that CEO $50 million needs to be forced not to.
We get him to.
No, that's what you're saying.
No. We get him to be paid what he actually contributes.
No. You're okay. So we need to force the guy who's saying the guy's saying I want to pay this guy $50 million. You're saying we need to force him not to pay him $50 million.
Right, because there's a structure.
Okay, so we need to exploit people to stop exploitation.
No. We need to stop those who are exploiting from exploiting.
Okay, I wanna really get into this.
That's not the same. You're using
EA
dumb
Sports,
arguments.
well, let's go into this. We have the EA Sports CEO. Okay, he's getting paid $50 million right now. Okay, but under your system, it's bad. He's not actually getting paid what he's worth, whatever, right?
Not even close. Yeah.
How do you fix this apparent problem under your system? What do we do? Let's run through the
So the way I would look at it, right, is through common sense, right? We try to ask ourselves, what do human beings deserve in a society where we, let's say, collectively agree to be as happy as possible, as comfortable as possible, healthy, etc., right? So under my system, we would then ask...
Wait, did we all collectively agree to this?
I think that everything in society is coercive, yeah. So unfortunately, even under my system, there is coercion, yeah.
I guess you're coercion, but that's okay, sure.
Everything's coercive. I think might makes right in the end, okay? But here's the thing. Sadly, though, I mean, I wish it wasn't the case, but morals don't exist.
Oh,
right?
I think you mean might makes happen, not might makes right. Like might, if you have the might to do something, it will come about. Like, not that it's okay. I don't think that's unless.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay. I think on a subjective level, but it's okay in the sense that, you know, that's just what we have to live by, right? You know, if my government says, you know, you have to be conscripted or something, it's what it is. I mean, what can I do? You know,
that's wrong, though.
But your claim that something is wrong or right is subjective. You know, that's the whole point I'm making. Morals are subjective. Well, they are. Are you an atheist?
No, I think. Huh?
You're an atheist.
Yeah.
Well, as an atheist, I'm sure you know there's no morals.
Not really. Well, I don't agree with that. I think you can determine whether like a moral principle is correct, whether a moral stance is correct.
No. You can determine if given certain, let's say you want a certain kind of society. Let's say you want as many people to be happy as possible, right? Utilitarianism. Well, if you agree to that, yes, there are logical steps that you can reach, which would be called moral, and then there are illogical steps where you do things that don't contribute to your goal, which would be moral. But that is within an arbitrary system, within a system that you don't have a objective ground for believing in. You get me? So in the end, I do think either my system or yours would in the end be arbitrary, coercive. Yes, I do agree.
If they're both arbitrary and coercive, why argue for one over the other?
Okay, good. Really so
on your own premise.
If you want, so good. I'll tell you. If you want a society where as many people are happy and comfortable as possible, then I think, in my view, that first of all, statism is better than Ancap or any kind of anarchy by far, and then second, I think socialism with or a mixed market socialism, right, is preferable to free market, unregulated, libertarian capitalism by far. Okay, because I don't think having less regulations, for example, is going to make people happier. Not even close, or healthier, or safer.
It seems like you kind of got off track from like the original CEO example, but I think we got here because you basically said, what did you say? It was like the $50 million, like you can use common sense, and then you can determine like something about like
So basically, does it make people happier? Does it make people happier in society that this stupid CEO is a greedy motherfucker, right? He gets 50 million,
no.
and then this hard worker who objectively, let's say, measures 30 or 40 IQ points higher than him, you know, like a genius programmer, a genius God knows what. But he works hard, and he can barely make ends meet, right? Because he maybe has children, they're sick, and so on. I'm not saying you should agree to it, because I don't believe morality is objective. But I'm saying, if you do want the best for humanity, best in terms of happiness, you know, lower stress, higher comfort, better health, then I think your system is atrocious, and my system is.
So what exactly is your standard for happiness then? Because you seem to keep appealing to this vague notion of happiness, and you know you're throwing in terms like comfortability, etc. Like, what does that mean?
I think you can measure that by how well you sleep at night, which you can measure actually. How low or high stress you have. Other kinds of, you know, measures of, let's say, how fast you age. You know, the better life you live, the slower you'll age. So things like that, right? We could actually measure that in society. Yeah, we could also ask people to report, right? For example, in the last few decades, people are not getting happier. Objectively, they're getting more lonely. They feel more exploited. They are less likely to move out of their homes, of their parents, so they have less sex, less privacy, less everything. We have very low regulations on social media, right? It's only beginning to be regulated, which has increased loneliness and just this sort of desperation for connections. So your system would fail humanity. My system
overpaying any employee, executive or lower level, puts a company at a competitive disadvantage.
That, like, all these regulations, you know, on things like social media, those make us less happy. We don't like those. So like,
you don't like them,
like,
but I like
whatever happiness means. It's quite arbitrary. It's an individual thing. So I don't really think you can. You're saying, oh, you can go and like measure it. It's like, okay, well, various things like make different people happy with that. They can only really know that on
First of all, thanks for saying that. So you agree that non-aggression principle is stupid as fuck, right? Because you're using the exact same logic. No, yeah, exactly. But I agree. You use the same logic. But go on.
How is it the same logic?
It is the same logic.
How?
Because aggression, right? Harm, things like that, conflict of interest, or whatever you called it.
Conflict initiation. To remember these terms.
Yeah, sure. The point is, all of that.
Do you even know what when we say conflict initiation? Like, I don't even know if you fucking understood what we were saying.
I do. Basically, if certain things that I have an interest in pursuing are, if I get prevented by another party, right, that would be a conflict initiation.
It's only in regards to scarce resources.
You must be a teenager, right? Trying to one-up me, Cameron.
Well, what do you mean I'm trying to? I'm just what?
Hey, you have that teenage aggression. I mean, calm down, dude.
Okay, I don't. Okay, whatever. Relevant.
All right. So anyway, my point is, in the end, I think that all these concepts, right, where you set the boundaries is arbitrary. Yes. The same way race is arbitrary or species is arbitrary, right? We can agree to what a species is just for fun because it benefits us. It helps us do biology easier. Okay, fine. But in the end, it's going to be arbitrary. The criteria.
There are certain criteria that have to be met.
You agree that categories are important for human understanding, correct? They might be arbitrary, but they aren't arbitrary for no reason.
Yeah, they can be very important. For example, the Taliban, right? They categorize men and women. You know why? Because they think that women and men have different patterns of behavior, effects on each other, right? So men need to be protected from women, from the gaze, or from seeing them, so they don't get horny and can't work all day. You get what I mean? So they categorize things, and it can have very bad effects. Sometimes it has good effects.
Is that part of your belief system? Just out of curiosity, are you agree with the Taliban?
No, I don't. I was refuting you.
Just using an example. Well, it's not a refutation. It sounds like you're just agreeing with me.
Yeah, I'm saying that. Well, I wasn't refuting you. I was trying to say that when you say categorizations, although arbitrary can be useful, I'm saying yes, but they can also lead to Taliban. You get what I mean? Or Judaism,
Or
or
it could lead to
Christianity,
science, right? Because science is all about categorization.
sure, and which can also lead to harm, right? For example, 100 years ago, science was used to create the largest genocides, right, in history.
Which ones? Specifically,
Well, for example,
I would like
Hitler.
like just like, right? But that wasn't a science-based movement.
Actually, it was. Actually, it was.
I think it was more of a religious-based movement.
No. It was science because it was basically built upon decades long studies on human beings, measuring their cranial width and length, measuring their nose shape, measuring their lip size, measuring whatever type of skin they have, hair texture. So yeah, it was actually science and categorization of things.
Right, but understand that that's just an is claim. That's not an ought claim. Science can only give you is claims, not ought claims. Now, the ought claims don't come from science, right?
That's irrelevant because
it's important to get to it's an important, if not arbitrary, thing, because even if it is arbitrary, it's still important because, like, okay, I can agree that all of these characteristics, they align with a human being, but that doesn't exactly tell me what I ought to do with said human being. Hitler said, we ought to kill this group of people, right? So, but that has nothing. That's not slander against the category.
Actually, it is, because if you say here's a category of people and that's just a category, for example, blacks, and then you say, well, blacks exhibit certain behavior and IQ and whatever, right? Well, that can actually indirectly lead to a lot of people, right?
That's separate from the ought claim.
That's not the fault.
No, but category. So
just because you
the category. Hold on. If you're a powerful entity, right, like the Nazis were or anybody else, right, and you say to people, "Here's a category," and you brainwash them from a young age to almost not be able to think outside that category.
Now you're making ought claims. See how ought claims and is claims are different? Categories make is claims. Right, so you're not refuting the principle that categories are in fact useful.
Of course not. I'm saying they're useful, but they can also be very, very bad. That's all I'm trying to prove to you.
Well, how would it be bad? Like, it seems to me like the ought claim would be the bad thing, not the is claim.
Yeah.
So I just told you, it's not about.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me very well. You didn't very well.
I didn't tell you very well. I did tell you. I'm saying
no,
right?
It was not.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Human beings, right, can create categories that are arbitrary, but they can be used for nefarious purposes. So that's all I'm saying.
So demonstrate that. Demonstrate one claim that is used nefariously as a category without the ought claim. You have to do it without the ought claim. Go.
I'm not making an ought claim. I'm just saying people are.
I'm saying.
Hold on.
I'm saying, like, if you make a category, like, okay, blacks are this way.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have, and they tend to have these behaviors, right?
Exactly.
I'm only making is claims.
Right.
I haven't said what we ought to do about it.
I didn't either. I just said is, what it does. Do you understand that?
Right. Well, see, that's not bad. If we're just acknowledging that this is the way the world is, right? Then there's nothing wrong with that inherently.
There's nothing inherently wrong. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, as useful as it can be, it can also be bad. Not that.
So what you're saying let me steelman it. I got it.
Right.
You're saying that it's a tool, and tools can be used for good and bad.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
And
I don't know why it takes you so long to
understand that. That doesn't mean we shouldn't use them, though, right? We shouldn't abandon the tool just because it can be used as a positive or negative thing within society.
Sure. I think everything can be used in a good and bad way.
Like a gun, for instance, right?
Exactly.
I can do terrible things with a gun,
or a
but
knife.
Also,
yeah, sure.
Crime rate goes way down in areas where everyone has a gun.
Yeah, sure. But what's your point?
Right. We shouldn't just throw away categories. Even though you claim them to be arbitrary, we should not abandon the category.
So it depends.
I don't think it does.
I think that does depend, actually, yeah.
Why would it depend?
Because depends on your goal. Depends on what kind of society you want. If you want a society where people
I would like a society that everyone has maximal understanding of what's going on around them.
Right. And
right.
If you want that society,
it's made easy, and that's made easy through categorization.
I agree, and I don't necessarily agree with that kind of society. Yeah.
You don't agree with what?
I don't necessarily agree that everybody should have as much knowledge as possible.
Well, I mean, as long as they are capable of understanding it, there's nothing inherently wrong with having knowledge.
Why should people be ignorant?
Right, there's no reason for people to be ignorant. The more people know, the better they can do. They have the ability to, like, it's like knowledge is the fulcrum with which they can move their life along.
I think that there are bad things to knowledge. Yeah, you can use knowledge in very bad ways. So
yeah, you can, but I've already claimed knowledge is a tool, right? Like the isn't bad. The is cannot be bad. It's the ought claim that is paired with the is.
Sure. Just like just like a 5-year-old possessing a nuke that they can or button to trigger a nuke isn't bad. They didn't trigger it, right? But I'm not gonna take that risk. Do you understand that? Like, I get your point, dude. It does make sense. If you have a tool that can be used to harm people, right? Then maybe you shouldn't have that tool.
I got it.
That's what I'm saying to you. So it depends on the society you want.
Okay, let me steelman it. So you're saying is we don't allow people, like we have these tools in our back pocket.
Right.
But not everyone should be allowed to use said tool because said tools are dangerous. Okay.
You didn't have to steelman it because I said it very clearly, though.
No, you didn't. You went roundabout with it. So
you didn't understand it, but I did say it clearly. Yeah.
Well, I'm just steelmanning just so that you understand that I understood you. Okay.
Well, that's a relief. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you're relieved. Right. Let's move on.
I hope you understand the understanding.
What knowledge tools are so dangerous that we can't allow society to have them? Let's just go with that for now.
Let's say hypothetically the knowledge of how to build a nuke.
Okay, even if they had that knowledge, getting the materials and resources for it
nonsense.
are very hard to get.
No,
say that. That's why these things are regulated.
Actually, let's say that. Hold on. Let's say that you have a
regulation is bad.
Who's a genius programmer, and he designs some AI that can give him tools. Or knowledge on how to build an extremely powerful bomb using common material, for example, right?
Using common materials. Okay.
Yeah, something that's not as hard to get as
right?
You know.
Okay.
Something that can let's say something that can have the harmful effects of a nuke. You know, he could shut down the power grid and maybe set off a blaze in his city, whatever. Hypothetically, yeah. In that case, I would say we should not give him that knowledge. Yeah.
Hold on. Like we've already mostly limited the like.
No. Now you're talking about what we have, so you agree with me that we should limit it.
I'm having I have.
So you agree with me? So do you agree with me?
Hold on. If you have the knowledge,
the government does limit some amounts.
No. Now you're walking around. Address the point. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me?
All right, guys, I gotta head out.
To have a safe society and prosperous society, that there is knowledge